You ready? Good afternoon. Welcome to day 2 of the Newark Municipal Council budget hearings on Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. Council President, council members, we have the Health Department first.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Good evening, Director. It's good to see you again, back in the chambers for the second time today. Do you have an opening statement for the council?
Yes, I do, and I do believe you have a copy of the statement in front of you. Good afternoon, Newark residents, councilpersons Council, Crump, Da Silva, Gonzalez, Kelly, Quintana, Ramos, Roundtree, and to you, Council President MacGyver. My name is Ketlin Baptiste Allsbrook, Director for the Newark Department of Health and CEO for its co-affiliated federally qualified health center, the Mary Eliza Mahoney Health Center. For our viewing audience in particular, FQHC is an acronym for Federally Qualified Health Center, which is a special designation granted us through the U.S. Department of Health to support the provision of community health services in the greater Newark area. Besides me, I have our CFO, Subi Varghese, and behind me in the chambers, I have with me members of our executive and management team, including our medical director, Dr. Isaac O'Neill, our dental director, Dr. Marshall, and our health officer, Marsha McGowan. The Newark Department of Health is presenting to you a 2024 budget request of $8,679,041. Our 2024 request is a 17% increase from our 2023 adopted budget of $7.4 million. The requested increase of $1.3 million includes about $767,000, which is traditionally covered through the city's unclassified budget once the budget is adopted, but we include it in our formal request so that these costs are clear. Adjusted for that, the increase drops from 17% to 7% and is due primarily to mandated increases in salaries, clothing and travel allowance, and the need to increase our lead inspection workforce. The mission of the Department of Health is to provide and advocate for comprehensive healthcare access and social and environmental services to support the attainment of an optimal level of health and well-being. Within our department, we have 5 divisions: the Director's Office, which includes personnel, fiscal, and grants management. The budget request is $1.4 million, 16% of our total request. Secondly is the Division of Medical Care Services, which includes our adult medical practice, pediatrics, oral health, behavioral health, and women's health. The budget request is $2.6 million, 30% of our total request. The Division of Surveillance and Prevention is comprised of communicable diseases, vital statistics, WIC, immunization, health education, and emergency preparedness. The budget request is a little over $1 million, 12% of our total request. The Division of Environmental Health is comprised of food and drug, animal and rodent control, and our lead prevention programs. The budget request is $3.5 million, 40% of our total request. And last but not least is our Division of Health Planning, which demands a small portion of our city operating dollars at 2% with a request of $166,000. The department's total annual budget is $68,844,865, 87% grants and revenue, and 13% city operating. The health department's operational costs are supported through 39 federal and state grants totaling $56,165,824. These grants support the delivery of medical care and public health services like our WIC program that has enrolled close to 4,000 new clients so far this year and served over 45,000 women, infants, and children. HIV services that has resulted in a viral load suppression rate of over 90%, and funding to strengthen our public health infrastructure. Thanks to those infrastructure dollars, we have saved the city well over $5 million in the cost of repairing our roof, modernizing our elevators, renovating our bathrooms, removal of old carpeting that harbor dust and dust mites, painting, flooring, lighting, ceiling, all measures to improve the aesthetic and physical experience of clients, our patients, and our employees. And hopefully you've seen or heard our commercials, our radio drops, and our billboards that we hope increase our visibility and the public's awareness of our services. And we are actually now working on developing a website that will include a public-facing dashboard of health statistics and resources, and will have patient-centered functionality like access to medical records and scheduling. With respect to personnel, the Department of Health has 215 active civil service employees, 55 vacancies, and 46 CSS employees, or precise, I believe. 38 of the 55 vacancies have pending new hires already in the queue, bringing the number of true vacancies to 17. And 16 of our 46 CSS employees are part of that pool of pending hires, bringing our CSS count down to 29. Almost 70% of our workforce are funded through grants. And with respect to provisional employees, 75 are waiting to be tested for their titles through the Civil Service Commission, and 5 have recently passed their exams. This year's top priority projects will carry into 2025. It includes the opening of our second school-based clinic at Park Elementary in the North Ward, where we will offer family health and oral health care services to the students and families of the school, as well as the neighboring community. We've purchased 3 medical mobile units, which are deployed throughout the city in partnership with CBOs, faith-based institutions, social justice programs, and shelters. One of our medical mobile units has already started serving our public schools and daycares, bringing much-needed vaccines to children that will ensure they are protected and not excluded from school, as well as sports physicals to facilitate their participation in athletic programs. We are very excited to have our dental mobile unit arriving next week that will provide everything from an oral exam to cleanings, fill-ins, and extractions. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our newly implemented denture program, which allows us to provide synthetic replacement of missing teeth to those that are uninsured and underinsured at discounted rates of over 60%, and allowing those payments to be made in installments over the course of 5 visits. And by the fall, we will implement innovative rat control measures that expand our current rodenticide strategy to include reproductive interference. Rats reproduce at a rate faster than lethal means can keep up with. And a reproductive female can produce 15,000 babies in their 1-year lifespan. Both male and females mature sexually 8 to 10 weeks after birth, and they have a very short gestational period of 21 days and can produce up to 20 babies in 1 litter. So the effects of contraception is essential to our rat control response, and this contraception will last at least 2 months, but up to a lifetime if taken consistently, vastly reducing our rodent population. In conclusion, esteemed council, I do not have a drone here with me today, but hopefully my summation has painted a clear picture of our finances, our human resources, and some of the valuable work that are being done by the health department here in the city of Newark. Thank you.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much, Director. And while you don't have a drone with you, you brought 87% of grants to your department. So I'm definitely clapping up for that because you know how I feel about grant opportunities. It is nice to have a department before us who, you know, are contributing to less impact on our taxpayers here in the city, and to be able to, you know, you guys search for grants, get grants, and, you know, make sure you fill out for them. You do a phenomenal job in that, you and your team. So the drone was nice. I won't take anything away from the Director Dean, who's going to be here with Public Works today, but definitely kudos to you and your team. At this time, we'll open it up for questions. Councilman Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just want to say, Director Osbrook, you do an amazing job.
Yes.
Like Council President said, it's great to have somebody a director that comes in front of you, and not only that does the work, but you eliminate some of the pressures to the residents by getting these grants that come into the office, so we don't have to tax anybody or we don't have to apply pressure to the residents. You guys do that in your office, and I'm just thankful of it. And I will say I'm not a real TV watcher, but I have this problem of turning my television on when I'm in the kitchen getting ready for work, and I see the commercials all the time on the apps. So I don't even have cable, I just have apps. So I see the commercials all the time. And not only do I see them in multiple languages. So, I always turn around and say, wow, look at the health department. So, that's just one kudos. There's many kudos. And I want to thank your department. When I first became councilman, I thought the rodent department was, in sanitation or somewhere, but you guys have been answering the call. Your team that handles the vermins, they have been answering the call, and teaming up with DPW, the garbage cans have been reducing, with the bait and the garbage can. So I just want to thank you guys for answering the phone every time the West Ward calls in the city of Newark.
Thank you,
Councilman Gonzalez?
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that you don't have a
A drone.
drone here, but I see that you have, in the director's office, you have salaries going down. Is that because you have new personnel, or is that, what is causing that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry, Councilman Gonzalez.
They say, the directors, they say the salary went from 213,340 to 196,265. The chief of finance and accounts went from 120 to 97,000. So what is causing the decrease instead of going up?
Thank you, Councilman. Under the director's office, there has been movement of staff. No one has been demoted in any way, and it may be the result of a more senior individual leaving the department and being replaced by somebody new who doesn't have the same level of seniority.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought that was the case.
Councilman Crum?
Thank you, Council President. First of all, thank you for this your opening statement. You really answered a lot of the questions that I already had. And once again, it's thorough and appreciate what you do and what your team does. But I do have one question, and this may have been a question I should have asked yesterday with the BA regarding grants. I understand that there's, based on what I read, that there's going to be a centralized process of doing grants. How is that going to affect, or is it going to affect your department?
I don't believe so. I know the city has recently implemented eCivics, which is a platform that allows us to monitor our grants in a way that we've historically done with papers and binders and so forth, and email reports that go back and forth. But this centralized system creates a repository of all the grants in the city. It allows you to go in and track the movement across the legislation process, how much you're expending, whether you're meeting deliverables, and it also gives you information about new grant opportunities that are coming out that may be of interest to your department. So I see it as a value. Having a committee within the city that talks about grant opportunities and how they align with each other's missions, I think is also important.
All right, thank you.
Councilwoman Scott Roundtree?
Well, there's not a lot to ask when it's right in the house. You've been in the house the whole time, and I just want to thank you, as my colleagues have, for being so thorough. There's not a lot to have to ask when all of the questions regarding budget, regarding employees, regarding grants, everything is right here spelled out for us. And that makes our job a lot easier than having to decipher through things and ask you. So thank you, Director Osbrook, for all that you do in your community. Listen, piggybacking off of our council president, Lord, I just hope that other departments can find a way to put some time into finding money or generating more funding so that our budget can be what it needs to be for the future. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, Councilman Quintana?
Madam President, as a senior councilman in the city, I've witnessed many budget hearings. But when you see a director that every Tuesday, every Wednesday, sits there regarding, some directors will walk in, hear whatever their department may be, and just walk out. And to see a director that takes time of her time, if a constituent may have a concern, and addresses the issue. I can't talk for all the directors because I don't know, everybody has their own way, but you have merited yourself, in the professional level of this city. And I would say, in terms of what the council president talked about, the grants, I have seen directors that have come before. During COVID, you proved your ability. You were not the director, but you were operating and running the operation. Sometimes, like some people like to be at the light. You're not that person that likes to be at the light. In terms of community, when there's community events that have to do with health, you're there. Or whether it's a dental office that opens up on Broomfield Avenue, you're there. So to me, that means devotion to a job. I wish all the directors, and no disrespect to any of them, but your devotion here is merit. And I just want to thank you for your professionalism. Thank you. In your department.
Thank you, Councilman Quintana. Any other comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Councilman Council?
One, want to definitely thank you for the decrease in overtime, and spot on with some of what my council colleagues have shared about your presence and your focus on ensuring that we have, one of the best health departments in the state of New Jersey. Uh, I am the 7105 line of advertisement. I don't know by way if communications, if we can do more in terms of advertising. I know we have some stuff that comes out on 94.7. Some of it is old, need to be caught up to date. But about services and programs, if we can be able to find more dollars that can go into the communication line to get information out, visa, just not on newspaper, but also in the on radio ads, to talk about the services and things that we have in our health department. I think that is very important to the residents of this community. So I don't know. I think you had it budgeted for $850. But if there's a way to be able to move that, and then second, to really have some conversation around the expansion of vermin control and animal control in that department, what that looks like, and especially in terms of, I know we talked about equity across the board in pay. How do we begin to monetize that and look at it in a way that, as we continue to move along, fill positions, move positions, how do we also grow offices and maintain them in a fiduciary way?
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Council. I will say that thankfully this year through the Public Health Infrastructure Grant, we were able to cover a lot of the costs that went into our marketing strategy. So the commercials, the billboards, the radio drops, all of that came from grants. And so we did not have to rely on city operating for that. And as for expanding the animal control and vermin control team, that is something we're currently looking at. We did place an emphasis on expanding our lead prevention workforce this year, but it will be something I consider for the 2025 budget request.
Any other comments from council members? I will end by saying that I think, and this is to the BA specifically, I think it would be helpful if our own communications department would be able to help your department out. I don't feel like they give much attention to your area. For example, you all have your own like Facebook and IG pages to do some of the stuff that you guys do around healthy eating. I mean, you guys are always doing like midday sessions, I call them, which are great because I'm usually tuned in, even though I'm not like doing any of it, like exercising for 30 minutes a day, or all of the things that you all are talking about. But I think it would be helpful to broadcast those the same way we do Live at 5 and all of those other things. We should be having your stuff broadcasting on our social media lives and, Instagram, all of the different platforms that the city of Newark has. Like a department shouldn't have to start their own. They can do that, but I think to reach a larger audience, the city of Newark page has over 10,000 followers. Like you all can be tapping into that. So they really should be assisting more. And I know you guys do it on your own, tape it, record it, but you should be able to broadcast those things live on those platforms as well as 78. Like, I mean, we should be utilizing that. There's great work happening within your department, and we should be using at least our local platforms to be able to promote that. So, Mr. BA, through your chair, if you can definitely, work that out and ask communications to help them out, to, talk about all of the good work that, you all are doing. I do want to point out, when you came to us last year, you talked about the top priorities for the department, and specifically some of those were around opening up these hubs, in each ward to be able to bring health services directly to the, blocks closer to residents. And I just want to commend you because thus far I've been to literally 3 openings. I was just in the East Ward last week, and beautiful location at East Side. We were at, in the West Ward at Speedway. And to me, that is just amazing to be able to expand health services within the community where people don't have to always come down to university to be able to get services. So amazing offices. Can't wait to see, others, other initiatives that are happening, but even your ability to partner with all of the other health programs and health providers in the city really speaks to your leadership, and it helps, take a little load off to work with others and folks are not competing to be able to do good work here in the city and service the residents. So just kudos to you and your team for that as well, because I remember that being on your list of top priorities for last year when you came before us, and half of it's already done. So kudos to you.
Thank you. And I will say to that, Council President, I am the CEO of a federally qualified health center, and sometimes people wonder why I go to all these ribbon cutting ceremonies for other people's health centers. And first and foremost, I'm the health director for the city. So anytime a new access point is created here in the city, it excites me. It gives me joy, and I hope we can better serve the residents of this community. I'm part of this community, so thank you for your time.
No, thank you. Councilman Silva, did you have a comment?
Yeah, it was just mention what you had said about the east side. I have a large immigrant population in the East Ward, and they live here now among us here in the city, and I only hear positive things from those communities in the East Ward, how they get treated with respect and dignity by you and the people in your office. They are now part of our American society. They are here in Newark, New Jersey. They are part of the fabric that makes up our city, and I appreciate the way you guys treat them and give them the services they need.
Thank you. I'll share that with St. James too, because they have their footprint down there. I love supporting the FQHCs here in the city. So St. James, even Hope and Esperanza, who's soon to be one, they have my support. So thank you.
Councilman Gonzalez?
A quick question regarding the ID card of the city. Are you the one that administers that?
No, I do not.
Because that, let's say, when you open this satellite offices, that could be something that we can provide at those offices to the immigrant community.
That's something to the BA, because it's ran by Rachel, who does the most municipal IDs. We have had them out in the community. They've come to every resource market we've had this summer and others. We have something at EMA Flag, but definitely we can relay that to Rachel, who leads up that department, to see if they're able to go to the health centers and be able to do the municipal ID cards. That's a great idea. Not to you, Director, though, but for the BA to relay that message. All right, any other comments? All right, seeing that, I don't have any dinner to offer you tonight because we don't have an event downstairs, but definitely continue to be great, Director. We really, truly do appreciate you. Trust me, we appreciate your leadership. We appreciate you and your team. I remember when you were coming to take this role and folks were like, oh, this person is in this, she's not qualified. Be encouraged. You are amazing, okay? You are amazing, and you do an amazing job. And no matter what folks say, to be, from this city, to live here, to be homegrown within the department, keep pushing, keep being great. And as you do every Tuesday and Wednesday, continue to walk in these chambers with your chin held high. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
West Ward.
Next department is the Department of Engineering.
It's a team, right? Engineering.
Hey, Director Wooden, welcome back.
Hello.
Long
Good
time no
evening.
see.
Yes.
Do you have an opening statement to the council?
Yes, we
Okay.
do. Yes, we do. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay. Good afternoon, City of Newark, Council President MacGyver, members of the City Council, and colleagues. It is my privilege to present the Department of Engineering. It is my privilege to represent the Department of Engineering in this hearing today to review the 2024 budget. My name is Dolores Martinez Wooden, and I serve as a director of the Department of Engineering. Present with me today is the leadership of this department, Assistant Director Ray Concepcion next to me, and in the audience, the Division of Inspections and Enforcement Director Michael Wilson, Chief Code Enforcement Officer Obi Autumn Nance, Division of Traffic and Signal Supervising Engineers Sean Savage, and for the Division of Uniform Construction Code, Building Official George Perdone. Thank you for being here. Newark is because of you. Newark Municipal Council received the department's gratitude for your continued support. Every single one of you has been instrumental in our success as a department in the past couple of years. B.A. Pennington, thank you and your office, as your support and consideration have been second to none. And of course, thank you, Mayor Baraka, for your vision, your guidance, and faith that you have placed in our department. As we consistently face challenges and strive to meet the city's needs, we understand the weight of our mission. Many depend on our department's attention and support of residents, visitors, and investors alike. Rest assured that we will continue to meet this task ahead. Engineering department team is dynamic, diverse, and dedicated. It's a dynamic, diverse, dedicated labor force that provides services to enhance the quality of life, ease of vehicular and pedestrian circulation, and the safety of our built environment. In code enforcement, we find driven individuals that work to hold accountable all business owners, property owners, landlords, and residents alike for maintaining our city operating with responsible business practices, with satisfactory living conditions, and foment a culture of unpolluted streets by taking ownership and pride in our city. The hard work and dedication of the staff has proven accountability in courts as well. Year to date, they have generated over $420,000 in court fines, which in 2023 yielded only $62,000. Commencing in week 21 and 31 of 2023, that's when we started tracking. In the traffic division, the principal engineers work diligently to produce, design, and execute projects that put focus on our city's transportation, street safety, and pedestrian circulation challenges. The traffic team also actively pursues grant funds to supplement our citywide budget and maximize the amount of paving and road safety projects. Furthermore, Traffic and Signals fabricates, maintains, and repairs all street signage along with stationary items to enhance traffic safety and wayfinding in our city. The Director's Office carried out construction management services of 25 projects with an estimated construction value of $26.7 million. The Division of Uniform Construction Code reviews documents for building applications, construction projects. They perform inspections to ensure builders and developers adhere to the state construction code. This division ensures development evolves into construction safely and responsibly, no matter if we have to deal with one family home or a multi-story development. Also part of their scope is ensuring the structural condition of existing buildings, all building control systems, and building use group is held to state code. In 2024, the engineering department has put emphasis on internal evaluation, enhancing our current procedures, and seeking improvements, improving resources of revenue. For example, CCC procedure realignment, fomenting collaboration with divisions, and working internally with other departments. Putting Newark at the forefront of opportunity by galvanizing our relationships with county, state, and federal agencies and delivering projects timely. Elevation of our colleagues, merit-based, experience-driven, and justified vertical movement, minimizing the Newark temporary workforce by transitioning into department headcount and staff, and also staff training. Keeping a close budget oversight, cost savings practices, and strategic operations to minimize overspending, for example, in overtime. For the 2024 budget, we are requesting an approximate total of $19.5 million. Of this figure, 42% of the budget total is attributed to salaries and wages, inclusive of overtime and other personnel service pay. This is 4.3 more than the amount allocated for staff in 2023. This increase is due to union raises and new headcounts. This percentage rises to 52.3 when you consider the 07280 line for other professional services, which houses the Newark temporary workforce, which is in great part utilizes the fund for temporary employee wages. Currently, our department has 8 vacancies, and in the division of UCC, 4 in the division of inspections and enforcement, and 4 vacancies in traffic and signals. This tallies 17 vacancies out of 110 budgeted employee count. With this, I would like to thank you for your consideration and the entire engineering team for the hard work and commitment to make this city of Newark the very best. Brief acknowledgement to Ms. Delia Carney, who retired after 25 years of service, Mr. Tommy McDonald, who retired after 31 years of service, a speedy recovery to Ms. Wanda Black and Mr. Trevor Howard, and safe return home to Gabriel Arroyo Cote from his military deployment. With that, I would like to open for questions and comments.
Thank you so much, Director Wooten. Questions from council members? Councilman Council,
Yes.
did you say something? Or is it just me?
I thought Councilman Gonzalez had something to say.
Oh, that wasn't
So
him.
I was yielding. But I just wanted to know, at this time last year, you said you generated 3,336, court dockets under the municipal code office. How many in 2023 was generated at this time, and what was the revenue?
From the
Yeah, so
KPIs that
yeah,
okay.
right.
So today, we are at 420,000 about, and last year, when we started tracking it, we're at 62,000.
It was how much?
420, and it was 62,000 before.
It's 422,000 at this point now, with 4 months out with the remainder of the year. Last year in 2023, what was the number?
It was 63,000.
63,000.
Yes, sir.
So you would say that we're up in terms of revenue in the code area and getting violations and stuff through the court.
Yes,
And
sir.
then with UCC, in that number in UCC last year from this time, what would you say the difference in the number is?
I will have to get back to you, Councilman.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the last year numbers. I know where we are today in UCC, but I do not have the comparable to last year. So I
Yeah,
can
that
make
that would be
available.
real interesting to see those numbers.
The 420,000 doesn't include UCC fines?
No,
Oh.
so the 420 are code enforcement only.
Sorry, Councilman Council.
Yep. So I was asking that because one, some of the departments that are under you are really direct engines for revenue. And when you look at some of the dollar amounts, although they may seem large, we're not reaching the value or executing in a way to reach the value that we should in terms of revenue. So I would love to see a plan, a more, leaner and focused plan on how we, maneuver to get to those levels of revenue in terms of accountability and systems that we put in place to get to those numbers. I'm good.
Other comments and questions? Councilwoman Scott Round?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Just one more question, because I did look. One of the things that I did note, and not just this and for you, but also probably for the BA, and I'm not sure if I asked you yesterday about folks forecasting from where we are now. There are a lot of individuals, and we're only, I would say 3 months, because I'm always a month ahead of everything, right? We're literally like 3 months away from technically closing out this budget year. And there were a lot of expenditures in folks' budgets, large numbers, that when you go back and you look at, they haven't been doing the spending. And so it is not matching, right? And so, we have many agencies and entities that are around here screaming for excess dollars and needs of dollars. The library is in need of tremendous amount of help. And when we have folks who are budgeting 300,000 or 400,000 in a line, and we're 3 months out for the year and you only spent 20,000 in that line, that's problematic, right? And so we have to, figure that out as we move along. So thanks for that.
Okay, other comments or questions? Councilman Silva?
Yes, good afternoon, Director. Just a quick question. So I've been part of 22, 23, and 24. And in all three of your budgets, you've had the Ironbound roundabouts on page 21 and the Ironbound ice rink abatement now for three of your submissions of your budget. And none of this has been accomplished. Is there any chance that this is the year it happens? The Ironbound, which is the asbestos that's located inside of our recreation building, the bathrooms not working, the facility just in shambles since I took it over in 2022, and I was just wondering if any possibility that this is the year that we make it safe for the kids and the families that use it.
I'm going to hand over the question on the actual building in the Ironbound, and then I'll talk about the roundabout to Assistant Director Concepcion.
Good afternoon, Council President, to Councilman Silva's point. So for the Ironbound ice rink with the locker rooms and the abatement, we working with the administration to get that abated. We're going back and forward to try to find a plan either just abate or to do a full rehab. Right now, what we're going to be proceeding, which we're actually doing it, is the abatement. Previously, we were waiting for the hockey season to be over to do the abatement because we didn't want to stop the operations, although it's not suitable, but we didn't want to stop the operation. So now we're going to proceed with doing the abatement and then working with administration to do the actual construction and work. But just to your point, we did work. Last year, for example, we went out to retain design professional services so that they can do a complete design for the renovation of the locker rooms and so forth. So we have that set aside. But in speaking with the administration and to your request, because it's been a dear request item for you, we're addressing the abatement first now, and then ultimately working the design professional aspects so then we could do the renovations for the locker rooms.
Because I believe that you were part of a walkthrough there at one time, 2 years ago, I would say, about 2 years ago. And we saw things that are pretty alarming. And again, I just think that it's a place where kids are at every day and families go to every day. And to have asbestos in a building, to have non-working bathrooms, I don't think it's a good look for the city. I think that we need to do better. That's all. And it's, like I said, it's been on 22, 23, and now 24's budget.
Understood. I will personally keep you abreast on the progress for that, and as we move forward to do abatement and the repairs and the design.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Silva, when it comes to the roundabout, at one point in time, we were short funds for the volume of the project. Those funds were secure. They were actually approved in the last budget council. We have some supplementation for the NJTPA. We got their support for added funds. So we're going to see a little more traction on the project now that we have more funds. And the design itself has been moving along. So we either invite you to traffic and signal so we can send you some files so you can review what it's looking like. But the project, it is moving along.
Just for the record, the director and her team, Sean, everybody else do an amazing job, always very receptive, but I just was concerned about, most of all, the rec center, which has been a problem that we inherited before we came here in 2022. So I'm happy with the response, and I hope to eventually get that accomplished.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree? Any other questions for engineering? Councilman Crump?
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just have a general question or a specific question, I guess it really is. What is animal horticultural services?
I'm sorry?
What is animal horticultural services?
Can I bother you to tell me
That's
what
why it's
page?
throwing me off. Maybe it is just flowers, but I just not, so,
That's, Councilman Crump, that's a line item on the traffic and signals, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
yes.
So that line item, usually they utilize it for any upkeeping or any planters and buying any plants and things like that we do on the streetscapes. So it's to maintain some of the streetscape that we may maintain. Historically, that was something that they did before. So we utilize that line to, if we are called to implement any type of planting, so forth on the street, we utilize that line to address those.
Okay, because I was wondering, I mean,
Understood.
do you clean up dead animals on the street or something?
No,
Because I saw animal
no,
in that title. That's what threw me off kind of. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Just a quick question. In your 71280 line, you have allocated 1,050,000. How much have you spent up to date?
From other professional services.
So fund to date, that's on the page 17 of the budget. At least for, some of it is for so to pay CSS or Newark temporary workforce. So for that, we have spent closer to $360,000. In addition to that, you will see a draw line in that line of, we have engineering services, because it is professional service line, but the same line is being utilized to pay the Newark temporary workforce, but we are utilizing to pay for all the professional service that we have in our department that we utilize. And you can see that on page 17, the drawdown and some of the expenditures that we have allocated for that line.
Additionally, Councilman, you can find the other divisions on page 18. So we'll
Yes,
split it up.
and I'm on 34 of your document as well. I'm just using that as a piece of synergy for, our council folks and for the BA, let you know that, 3 months out, this was probably about 6 or 7 months of spending. It was allocated $1 million, you only had 360,000. I don't assume you're going to spend seven to 800,000
So
in the next 3 months. If so, that's kind of.
Most of the figure that is coming from the 721,980 line is based on the previous year. Like, again, it's mostly attained to salaries. We haven't crossed that bridge, but it's mainly attained to salaries, and we'll make adjustment. But we have also, because we had transitioned some of the staff that were in Newark temporary workforce to city side, that number was slightly adjusted as well.
Okay, well, let's go to 94010 in your furniture line. You budgeted 2023 10,000. This year 10,000. How much was spent out of that budget line?
This year, we have not budgeted. Last year, we did spend the money. We still haven't not projected to that, but we have time to spend down the line.
I don't like that response.
You got time to spend money.
I'm good.
It's in the budget, we have to spend it. I suppose that's it.
And sometimes as well, as we all know, is that budgetarily speaking, we typically get funded only a third of the budget when the year begins. And then after that, we only get a 12th of it. So to your question earlier, how come sometimes some department have not expenditure? We're just trying to be cautious because some of our projects require additional funding. Like for instance, this year, we had to request from OMB to front load us a particular budget line because we didn't get all the money ahead of time. So sometimes we have to do something like that as well.
Yeah, be careful, Deputy, because you just said you forecast your budget from last year, and I do understand temporary budgets,
Understood.
26.2%, half that draws down. And so if you are monitoring everything that you asked for last year, you know what points you are in that budget year or that period so that you know what your spending should look like and what your overages are, where you are over to be able to, push out throughout the course of the year.
Understood.
So, I just want you to be on guard. I am looking for money.
Councilman Council, we know the nature of what we do is, we have a lot of unforeseen conditions as well. So, when we have things like that, we use our budget to the fullest. And, if the line is, we try, like you said, to spend our lines because we do need the budget. And we have it, we use it as we can.
I know last year we had a requested traffic and signal. They got the 5 speed traffic lights as well as the 5 large ones. Have all of those come in yet? And have they been allocated out to the different wards and been put up?
Yes, so we have, whatever council requests we have received, we have put them up. And now we have some spares to work with NPD traffic division. When we have issues across the city, we collaborate and we send, we deploy them where traffic finds them useful.
Madam President, if I may.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, Director, where are we with the beeping lights? So that the vision impaired can cross the lights, let's say, without any kind of problems.
Okay, so I think I believe I sent you the installed today, Councilman Gonzalez. Now that our budget, we can spend it, we have to work on whatever we have now and then plan out the funds that we have to see what we can, what we can purchase at this point. I know that, we deployed some of them where they're most needed, in the most populated areas, the school areas, the arts and education district, and so on and so forth. So we're hoping that with the budget that we have now, we can go a little more citywide where they're needed.
Thank you.
Any other questions for engineering? Seeing none, thank you, Director Wooten.
Next department is the Department of Public Works. It's going to be
You can do whatever you want, but we good. Okay.
All right, Director Deem, it's good to see you back again, especially after yesterday's phenomenal presentation. See,
Drone coming in.
I guess you ain't getting no drone for DPW, huh? Just Water Department. Do you have a statement for the council?
Council President, yes. Council President, council members, distinguished audience. First and foremost, on behalf of DPW, we want to make sure, especially for me, apologize for the last 4 months, the inconveniences that you may have seen around the city with us collecting garbage. You deserve better. The residents deserve better, and we know here in the city of Newark, DPW can do better. And hopefully moving forward, we will be doing better. Part of that doing better is, looking at the vision and the administration, and DPW is committed to moving things forward and overhauling DPW and giving our residents the type of services that they deserve. Our decentralizing of DPW on Freelaisen Avenue, putting it out into the wards with those community service centers. With the next one, we're hoping to open up our, the North Ward is open on Verona Avenue. West Ward is on South 12th Street. And South Ward is Earl Street. And hopefully by the end of the month, we'll be opening up our next community service center at 62 Waydell Street in the East Ward. To that, Council President and council members, we're deeply committed to making DPW a 24/7 operation. In a big city like Newark, DPW should always be working 24/7, 3 shifts, 7 days a week, provide essential services for our residents. To have an environmentally safe and clean city at all times. We're committed to that for our residents and businesses also. So the steps we've taken lately to address that is just, rebranding a little bit with DPW. You'll see this week as we put out billboards doing our mattress pickup, reporting illegal dumping, things like that, and making sure we're more visible and more vigilant in the community. Moving forward, our priorities, I know we always ask this question in the budget book, if we have any top priorities. Our top priorities is to provide a better service to our community that they deserve every day. With that, I'll pause a little bit to take some questions. Here sitting with me is Kim Green, Chief of Staff, and Javed Pugh, our Chief Administrator.
All right, thank you so much, Director Deem, and hello to the staff here from DPW. It's good to see everyone. First of all, thank you, Director, for that opening statement. It was great for the public that are here and those that are viewing us on YouTube and 78. So thank you for that. I'm sure they appreciate that as well. And more importantly, look forward to the better services that they are expecting. At this time, I will open it up for questions or comments from council members. Councilman Gonzalez.
Question, please. Not that easy. Eh, Do you guys pay for the gasoline, or who pays for the gasoline or for the fleet of the city?
DPW.
DPW. How much money is that? Is that?
Fuel.
1 second, Councilman. Fuel.
I don't see a line for
Man.
that.
Fuel.
Total is about 1.6.
1.6 million.
On the gasoline?
For the year.
That's diesel and gas.
For the whole fleet?
Yes.
Police and everything?
Yes. Not water and sewer, though. We pay for a little bit for hours. I just want to make sure you know that.
Police now.
1.6 million. I like the new pumps that you have, let's say, with the, have better control of the expenditure of the gas.
Yes, that was something Director Thomas put in a couple years ago to track fuel.
All right, any other questions from council members?
Yes.
Councilman Council?
Real quick, Director Dean, in your booklet on pages, to your pages, and while I'm getting to your pages, I want to know how much money do you have in your municipal tonnage grant?
1.4 million, Councilman.
And how much have been spent so far this year?
So far.
1 second. So, Council, we just got the grant within like the last month. I think the council just voted on us accepting the grant maybe about a month ago, if I recall. So we haven't spent anything yet.
And I want to give you the page because it indicates 2023 expenses and not what was allocated for 2024. It is in your booklet, so I'm operating off of your booklet as well as our booklet. And in your booklet, it says that for the cleaning of the garbage vehicles, page 9 in your booklet, it says we spent $69,139 in 2023. That was an expense. What does that expense look like in 2024? Right? Yeah, if you coupled down and some of your lines. On page 9.
1 second, Councilman.
71820, vehicle cleaning services.
Page 9. Let me
Page 9.
So page 9, you says cleaning services.
Yep, page 9, 71280, your Division of Motors, vehicle cleaning services, 69,139. And it says expense 2023, but it has no 2024 expense. Page 10, same information. And all of this is relative to spending and what was spent in 2023 and not 2024. So it would be interesting to know what was spent in 2024 so that we can be able to really look at how those numbers or how the cost of spending is going. And then one quick question, how much was allocated for snow in 2024?
So Councilman, your first question, Council President, Councilman, your first question, I'll provide the year-to-date and the 2024 proposed for that cleaning line and what we spent up to year-to-date. We'll get that to you. We'll get that to the whole council.
And I do want to commend you for the reduction in overtime. I think that is good that we're putting systems in place to be able to monitor the OT that is down. If you can, just get us that other information, that would be good.
And Councilman, Council President, council members, I didn't answer the second part of your question. We budgeted $2 million for snow.
2 million?
Yes.
You know how much we spent? How many events we had this year, snow events? I think we had 3, 4 snow events.
6.
6 snow events. You know how much we spent in those 6 snow events?
I know that from what's her name? Councilman, and I know that from just.
We didn't spend the whole 2.4 on 6 snow events.
No.
I'm just looking for change.
Spent about 171 in overtime, and vendor payment was another, I think, a little over 3, but I can get that exact number to you. I just looked at it.
You guys definitely had some savings.
Yeah, so that may help a lot better.
But you spent it on something else. But
The
you
winter
had
ain't
some-
come yet for 2024, Council President. We still here. It's a
That's
couple more
true.
months
Still
in the
gotta
winter.
make-
It ain't snowing in August. If it is, climate change is super
Well, he
real.
still got to get through December.
We didn't get through November, December yet, so let's not be premature.
I'm sorry. Hold on, Councilman Gonzalez. Let's go to Councilman Silva.
Good afternoon, Director. First of all, I want to commend you on creating other avenues for people to throw away their garbage. I've been begging the BA for something, another bulk day or whatever it may be, but this seems to be working in the East little by little. We get the message out to the community. Mr. Green, I've been working with you for 20 years, going to meetings, and he does an excellent job. But Director, let me ask you a question. Your guys have a tough job. The guys who pick up garbage, difficult. This summer's been brutal on them. And a lot of times I see one guy, like I saw one guy this week on Monday behind a truck by himself. Is there a problem? Are people calling out? Do we, are people discouraged about the conditions they're working? What's the problem? That sometimes I realize that a bulk day is difficult and the guys are probably exhausted on Thursday when I have another garbage day pickup in the East Ward. Do we have enough manpower? Do you have enough manpower and the resources to do the job that needs to be done? Or do you need more help? I mean, you can always use more help, but do you need more help, especially with the garbage pickup?
Council President, Councilmember Silva. First and foremost, yes, the summer was brutal on us. 2, the administration has started replenishing some of the workforce. A part of that is making sure that we can pick up garbage in all hours of the day, not just in the morning. Part of that is making our night operation be more efficient and effective. We're using the resources that we have while we start replenishing the resources. While we start investing in human infrastructure and bringing more employees on, we need to make sure that we're adequately using the current staff we have to the best of their ability. A lot of times when change come in, we may see an uptick of pushback or not adapting to change, and things happen. That's why, first and foremost, when I opened up, I want to apologize for stuff you're saying. 0 tolerance for fighting, 0 tolerance for calling out just because you don't want to work. There's a lot of good people at sanitation and Department of DPW, but there's also some bad actors too. Some of those bad actors need to move on as we bring in new actors that's willing to do this work. Right? As we diversify our workforce down there, we're seeing a different type of workforce in the future, right? We need to adapt. The city is growing. And when the city is growing, currently we're reevaluating from our garbage pickup routes to our recycling routes to our street sweeping routes to how we just do everything every day, right? How we just operate every day. Our operation will be getting an overhaul. And some of those things you talked about today, being able to come drop your garbage off if you missed the pickup, right? Or you're going on vacation, you just want to get rid of it. To, you're getting the refrigerator delivered, but you may want to just go drop your old one off at our resource center or call us to come pick it up, opening the customer service center. So it's not just manpower from picking up behind the truck, but it's manpower and it's our managers and making sure everybody's held accountable to do the proper job, the right job, and the more efficient and effective job. We're here for the long haul. We live here.
I just want to say I commend you and your team. It's not an easy job, I can tell you right now, especially the conditions that your employees have to work under, especially this summer in those hot, miserable days. I know it's not easy. Thank them for me. I know they're doing the best they can, and I know you're doing a great job, so I appreciate it.
And we thank you, from me to the whole DPW, we thank you for your support and understanding.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Councilman Gonzalez, you had a follow-up?
Yes, I want to commend the director and the team because this recycling is being picked up very early or late at night. I know that in the morning I wake up and the recycling is not there. So I commend you for that. And the other question that I have is you have a lot of provisional workers. What are we doing? Are they subject to test?
So yes, thank you again, Council President, Councilman Gonzalez. Yes, we are picking up garbage in certain areas at night. The residents deserve better. That's the first step of deserving better. We're seeing the results. We're monitoring the data. We have about 70 provisional workers. We're creating a path to permanency, but most of the provisional workers you see on here, right? Most of us don't talk about. Civil service was behind for the last 3 years due to COVID. They're just starting to send those certifications and update people and calling for exams. I think every month you're seeing exams called, and in the last 2 months I've seen certification lists come out, not just for DPW, but for the city as a whole. So as those lists come out and we start checking the boxes and looking at the budget, we're moving people into the proper positions.
And the other question that I have in terms of mechanics, how are we doing with the mechanics? Usually you have let's say some vacancies in the shop. Where are we with that?
We currently have 2 vacancies, but we're currently interviewing 3 mechanics.
What's the salary for mechanics?
It's about 56,000 starting. Up to about 74.
Okay, Councilman Crump.
Thank you, Council President. Let me also say I thank you and appreciate the work that is done from DPW because, in a lot of cases, you hear just complaints. But I think it's important to know that we appreciate what you do also in all aspects, whether it's sanitation or those that clean the building here or work for us or do the bring tables and chairs and do whatever else, because that's important and it's important for our community. I just have a few questions. One, piggybacking off of a little bit of what Councilman Gonzalez said regarding vacancies. There are a number of vacancies. I believe it was 29 or 30 total vacancies. What is the overall, I guess, I know specifically talked about the mechanics, but what are you doing to fill those other vacancies?
So there's a total of 29 vacancies in the department. We have a path to permanency. We still have like temporary workers or permanent workers we're interviewing. We've created an office of the director at DPW. We're interviewing our current staff and new staff that may be coming in to fill some of those positions that need to be filled.
And you expect to fill those positions by the end of this year, or when do you expect to fill those?
We expect as we get the best candidates that's selected to fill those positions. I can't promise you that it'll be the end of the year, but we need to make sure that we're not just filling positions, that we're getting the best qualified people to come into those positions.
Understood. Additional question I have is regarding tree pruning. Last year you spent $1 million, I think, a little over $1 million on tree pruning. And this is less of let me ask you, this is less of a budget question, but just a question. How do you determine what trees get pruned? I know you do it around signage that's blocked and things like that, but what is the impetus? How does it start?
So Council President, Councilman Crump, the city of Newark hired an arborist, maybe 6 months ago. His name is Ryan Metz. I mean, we get calls, the tree department manager sends out Ryan Metz and the tree team, and they go out there and look at the trees and look at the area. Also, the city It's also in coordinating better with PSC&G and Cablevision, people that own those type of electrical lines that may go around the tree, and just making sure that we're maximizing the resources that they're supposed to provide around Prony. But our arborist goes out and does an inspection. And he's been on board, I want to say, a little over 6 months.
And is there a number people can call if there are trees, if there are signs, particularly signs that are blocked? I've been some places where stop signs have been blocked, and I think Councilman Council dealt with it on Madison Avenue. And is there a number that folks can call to report, or is it just 4311? Or?
Sure. You can call 973-733-3644. 973-733-3644.
Okay, thank you. One additional question I had was regarding, I believe I read that it was, you had a between 2023 and 2024, it's a $3 million decrease in your budget. What is that attributed to?
That was Council President, Councilman Crump, that's contributed to pro cops. The city's not, the pro cops came off of our budget now. They're with public safety, the security that monitors all the public buildings. So we're not incurring that expense anymore. It's with the public safety now.
All right, thank you, Council.
Any additional questions or comments?
Gotta have one more.
You have one more comment?
No, one more question.
You have one more comment? No?
I want to thank you.
Oh, okay.
Looking forward to your support and helping us turn DPW around.
Yes.
I just want to thank you, Director. Oh, I do have one question. What's the status on finding us a permanent director for DPW? Are you looking for your replacement?
No, that's with the administration. That's a little above my pay grade.
Before, I do have a
Mr.
question
Pendleton is over there.
about the garbage containers. They say, when can we expect those to be given to everybody?
Council President, Councilman Gonzalez, I think that's an excellent question to end this with. I came before the council maybe a couple of months ago and said we're developing a new website. We're rebranding DPW. First quarter of next year will be the final phase of the garbage cans. But however, when the website is put up probably the first or second week of September, you can type your address in there and see when you're expecting to get a garbage can or if your garbage can was already delivered.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Director, so much. Thank you to you and your team. I do want to say to the managers, some of them who are here, I won't start calling out names because then if I don't call everybody's name, I don't want folks to feel sad about it. But I want to thank the managers, the supervisors who respond immediately. You know, we're not perfect. We do have situations where folks' garbage might get missed or, you know, have different matters happening. But when we reach out to the managers and the supervisors, they respond right away. Literally, there's, you know, not all the time we have to bother you specifically. We'll bother you about the water stuff, but specifically for DPW, they get back to us right away. They're very responsive. And I think Councilman Silva said it best. You know, it's a very, very difficult job. People are very critical, but there are a lot of people that would not do this job and cannot do the job that you and your men and women do at DPW. So on behalf of this council, we know it's been some troubling times. We know that it's been some changes and, you know, different things that many have had to bear in the department. But I want to thank you for stepping up, for, you know, leading the charge in DPW and doing the work that you do on top of the work you already have and had. And thank you to your team and your leadership team and those that are working for the job that you do, even with the challenges. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Council President. I want to thank Councilman Quintana because it's an area as we started picking up at night that we was having trouble with, and his contacts has made it a little easier for us. So we want to thank you for that too.
Thank you for being accessible. Thank you so much. The department is excellent, and we should program something this coming year, at the end of the year. We should host what we used to do years ago, have a Christmas gathering at Motors, because these are the folks that sometimes those small things mean a lot. And if we could do and set up a luncheon amongst us, the 9 of us and the mayor, to do some kind of thank you, because as Councilman Silva indicated, the hard work of being out there for these men and women, dealing with rodents, dealing with people screaming at them because something that they didn't take. You know that because I called you numerous of times, and people have claimed that they didn't pick up my garbage, but it was something else that we're putting out. That was construction. But again, we should look at, and it's not a budget matter, it's an issue that we should get together and do. I remember one year we did that in 2014. We did an event in 2013, and it's never been forgotten by men and women who work every day, who go to work hard and in conditions not of air conditioning, like some others who have a great jobs, not being cold and not being hot, because these folks in your department, motors too. So I just want to say thank you to the men and women, and especially to you. Thank you for always picking up that phone. I don't know if you're on overtime, but you're on some time.
It's on something.
Definitely not overtime.
Madam Chair,
Councilman Council.
I just checked WeatherWorks is not going to snow until February. That budget's year will be ending. So Mr. BA, you know what to do.
Well, we know.
I hope
so,
you're right.
Council President, the councilman being a former DPW, he know how the weather can play games on him. You can say it ain't gonna snow and they get a blizzard.
Councilwoman Roundtree.
Thank you, Council President, Director Adim, and team. I could start calling names of how great the contact is for each of you. I'm not going to say who and what, but every time I pick up the phone to call for a problem, all of you know who you are, and there's never been a time that there wasn't a situation to abate it for a constituent, no matter whether it was a tree, whether it was garbage, whether it was, I know y'all don't handle rodents, but there's been some situations where people weren't doing what they were supposed to do with their garbage, which then attracted some other issues. So I want to thank you. I know that you're just there temporarily, but in the time that you have been there, in all the departments you handle, you've been very effective. So that makes our job a lot easier when constituents call us and they have major complaints, and we can call and say, and you can call back or text back or email and say it was abated. That means so much. It means so much. And it just means that, I often say that if the mayor has directors and we have to go to the mayor, then they don't need directors. Well, you're not one of those. So we thank God for that and continue the great work with your team. Thank you, Council President.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Director. Sorry I don't have any dinner for you tonight, but you had some yesterday.
Is he looking for the
They want to
drone?
open the door. The drone was about to come.
Is the drone coming?
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Next department?
Next department is Recreation, Cultural Affairs, and Senior Services.
All right.
Council has something.
All right, Director, welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us. Do you have an opening statement for the council?
Yes, Council President, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the distinguished council members. On behalf of the Department of Recreation, Cultural Affairs, and Senior Services, I, Director Donnell Redding, will be presenting the budget for the year 2024. The goal and mission of the Department of Recreation, Cultural Affairs, and Senior Services is to provide optimum programming, events, and activities that engages academic support, community development, that provides services in health, fitness, family-oriented activities and events, which promote education, recreation, and community engagement in all of our 5 wards to manage and provide reliable, cost-effective recreation, culture affairs, and senior services in such as a manner that emphasizes safety, customer satisfaction, integrity, teamwork, and stewardship. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Director. Questions and comments from council members? Councilman Council?
Good afternoon, Director Redding. In your 71280 line from the director's office, there was a thing that 234,000 for food stuff. Is that senior services food, or what was the food line there?
That food line consists of, thank you for the question, Councilman Council. The food line consists of our 4 departmental meetings that we have. In addition to senior services, we have a new vendor for our meal programs. That's from Monday through Friday for our seniors. That cost went up astronomically, about 85%. So we was using some of those funds to cover those costs as well.
So I'm just a little confused why that cost is coming out of that 71280 line, and then over in senior services, you have another food line in senior services with another high cost there. Are those the same cost?
Yeah, they're actually the same cost. Once again, we have a new vendor, and with our new vendor, just like I mentioned earlier, that cost went up 85%. For example, if we was paying $10 per plate for our senior activities, which is Monday through Friday, that amount doubled by 100%, well, 85%, excuse me. So we are actually trying to compensate that cost until we can get additional financial costs into our budget to kind of diminish that or support that.
In your 71280 line in cultural affairs, you had proposed 300,000. How much have been spent up to date currently?
Up to date, it's $10,377.95. That's for culture affairs.
What was that number again? 10,000?
$10,377.95.
And 71280 and the recreation line.
Yes.
How much have been spent so far?
And our 1606. Our 71280 line at this current time is $703,526.14 has been spent at this current time as of August 13th, 2024.
703,000.
Yes.
Just round, yeah. just round it up.
$703,526.14.
And vehicle rental, how much has been spent so far this year on vehicle rental for senior services line?
Senior
1609?
services. At this current time, it's $70,250.
70,000?
Yes, $70,250.
Okay, and 71280 senior services, you budgeted 250. How much has been spent so far?
71280 for senior services, the expenditures has been $158,243.82.
158,000?
Yes, $158,243.82.
Okay, I'm good.
Next question. Councilman Silva?
Yes, good afternoon, Director.
Good afternoon,
Just a quick
Councilman.
question.
Sure.
One of our permit holders wants to use the field for a season. What do we charge them? They're a city, from the city of Newark. What do we charge them?
Right. Thanks for the question, Councilman. We don't permit out the fields for the whole year. We permit out 90 days maximum.
Okay.
And for Newark residents, it's $150. And for non-Newark residents, it's $350.
Why so cheap for non-Newark residents?
It's because we have to come back to council with a change of the cost of permits. And we are working on that now to come up with a different cost for the non-residents usage. So that's something that we're in conversations and discussions about to upgrade that cost.
Yeah, I'd suggest that we do that as soon as possible because our fields are coveted. People will use them. I don't care. We raise them another $200, they're still going to come. The hockey rink. What do we charge for the hockey rink?
Wow. The hockey rink is the same as our permit users,
Oh my
which is
goodness.
150. I know ice time is $450 an hour, but we're going to come back and visit that. And in doing such, we're going to need your support as well.
Yeah, because just let me say something about the ice rink. It is coveted by every city surrounding Newark. I get calls from Bloomfield. I get calls from Nutley. I get calls from Belleville. If you charge them a higher fee, they will still come.
Yes. We, at this particular time, keep it just exclusive for our Newark partners and our different other collaboratives that's only from Newark. So we did entertain that at some time a couple of years ago, we did entertain that. And then that perspective turned out to be ownership from Glenridge and Nutley, who feel as though this is their ice hockey rink. So it was pushing out our Newark residents, our Newark youth. So we decided to make sure we ensure an MOU with Hockey in New Jersey to promote hockey throughout our 5 wards.
I just think that there's enough time in the day, 7 days a week, to collect some money from those other towns, give them their ice time, but have them pay. And I don't think they're paying enough. So I think that whatever you have to put forward through council here, the sooner the better, because I think looking at other comparisons on what they charge in West Orange per hour is nothing compared to how low we charge here in the city of Newark. I realize we're trying to build relationships, but if we do that, they're going to come anyway. No matter what if we raise that a substantial amount, they're still going to come. They don't have an alternative.
Per your request last year, we went over to Prudential Center to see how much that cost was. It was $450 an hour, right? And then in the summer, it was $350 an hour. So I totally concur with what you're stating. We just have to kind of put this together and bring it back to council.
Thanks, Director.
You're
I
welcome.
just wanted to ask Councilman Silva, you mentioned about West Orange hourly rate. What do they charge?
I'm sorry,
You mentioned West Orange hourly rate. What do they charge?
$800.
Wow. Okay. Councilman Crump.
Thank you, Council President. Just piggybacking off of Councilman Silva, I know we talked about this before, but additionally, I think we need to raise the fees for
Community pass.
for recreation and I think it's $15 for non-residents, and folks come to JFK particularly and probably to other facilities and use the pool, et cetera, for everything from I've seen scuba diving classes to just coming there, and their swim teams are there and using our facilities because going in their town is much more expensive. So I think it's important that we do visit that as soon as possible. And if it's something that the council should be pushing forward, I'm all for that in terms of drafting or amending the necessary legislation, because I think it is important we do that. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to generate enough revenue to change the world, but what it does, it brings in some revenue that can make a difference in some of the things that we do. So I think that's an important aspect.
It
should be done at the same
I would
time.
actually recommend that the council members who sit on the recreation committee, I know it's led by council, work on getting the amendment to the council and changing the fees. I mean, the council should be able to walk and do that very fastly in order to, change the fees on it. But it should definitely go through the recreation committee. Councilman Gonzalez?
So,
I'm sorry, Councilman Crump, you had another question?
yeah, I'm sorry, I just had a couple of other questions. One is regarding the increase in, there was a $90,000 increase for temporary labor force. I forgot what page it was on.
Are you CSS precise workers, employees?
Senior Services, there it is, 72090, page 9. So, and I think in a time where we're discussing how we're getting folks off of temporary onto either permanent or assessing of whether they're necessary or not. What's the justification for increasing your temporary labor force?
Well, the precise employees, most of our precise employees are drivers. They do transportation for our senior service program. And a lot of those employees don't really want to come over to the city side because of how much they make as a CSS employee, which is $25 compared to $17. Of course, they don't have benefits. If a CSS employee comes over to the city side, so now you're talking about pension, you're talking about health insurance, you're talking about $17.50 an hour. So that becomes a problem when it comes to their finances and taking care of their families.
So it's more cost effective for the individual, but also for the city?
Yeah, it's more beneficial to those that's on precise employment versus to those that if they come over to the city, because really they were actually losing finances. They get benefits, but you know that's what the global perspective is right now.
Okay. My last question is regarding dog parks. So there's a dog park that you're planning to put in, and I forgot where the location is, but I believe it's in the Central Ward.
James Street, Central
James Street.
Ward.
Yes.
Central Ward.
I said Central Ward. I did say Central Ward, didn't I, everybody?
I just wanted to be clear.
Are there any discussions of other dog parks in other areas of the city? You know, curbing your dog is a huge issue all over our city, incredibly. So the question is there any possibility, or are you working on other areas?
In the spirit of transparency, at this particular time, it's just one. And thanks to Council President McIver for giving us that idea to look at, hey, let's create a dog park. So that's where we're initially moving forward, and we're in conversations and talking to contractors to see what that looked like. So it's projected to be like $100,000 to finance a dog park. But that doesn't end there. As we evolve, we look at to kind of put some in other wards if it financially makes sense as well.
I mean, some of our current parks could have some space carved out to use as a dog park. Some of them are extremely large and space is not always being used in some of the green spaces throughout the city in the different parks. So maybe it's an option to look, how some other towns have like a gated, gate. It's nothing, fancy about it. It's just some type of material that goes down on the ground and is gated to be able to do some of that. And some of the additional parks, we already not creating new ones, but specifically, adding them to the parks that we already have for space. I do want to say that just because there is a dog park doesn't mean you still don't, you don't have to clean up after your dog. You still have to go into the dog park and clean up after your dog. The dog park doesn't eliminate that. But I think, definitely there's a need as, folks love their pets. They're getting more and more dogs in the city. I know that some of the newer developments have implemented some dog park options, on their properties. We have about 3 of them in the Central Ward that have dog parks literally and dog washing stations, if you want to get really fancy, in some of the new buildings already. But definitely it's something to look at as, the city grows, more residents are here to give, more recreation spaces to, residents with dogs. I will say the dog park specifically on James Street, there has been vacant land there for decades. Actually, the idea rose from Councilman Council at the time, who was the director of recreation, who was leaving out to become the councilman, and we were working on it as he was going. But this is something that we spoke with the community about, something that they asked for, and they already use it as that. Like this space is a city-owned piece of land. They use it as a dog park. They clean it personally. The residents there, they mow the lawn, everything. And now they just, want to use some of the grant dollars that we have to actually make it an actual dog park. So that's the situation in this particular community. But I think it's something worth expanding to see how we can carve some space out of our current parks to make dog parks.
And I would definitely have that conversation with the Newark Municipal Council Recreation Committee to see how we can expand those particular services and projects.
Councilman Gonzalez and then Councilman Kelly.
Yes, on the food budget, let's say that you said increase 85%. Was that a bidded contract?
I didn't hear you, Councilman.
Was that a bidded contract, the one for the food?
Yes, that went to council. Actually, you guys voted on it, and it was passed for our new food contractor.
Is that only one supplier, or do you have more than one bid?
No, we don't have a co-op with that. We just had one supplier, and that contractor was just that supplier.
So we allowed that contract to increase by 85%.
Well, we actually didn't allow it. Unfortunately, when they went out to bid, they was the lowest provider. So we went with the lowest provider, which was actually the highest bidder, meaning that they had the highest cost, and they was the lowest return.
If they were the lowest, how could they be the highest?
No, I didn't state that. For the record, I said they was the lowest bidder. They came in at the lowest number. But their cost is higher than our prior vendor that we had. And that prior vendor that we had now, well, it's an 85% increase higher than the last vendor we had.
And that was the only bidder, or you have more than one bidder?
It was more than one bidder, yes. And we was also looking at not just bidding to, because our last contractor was from New York. So the whole intent was to make sure that we give our mom and pop vendors the opportunity to bid as well. So we focus totally on that, and we have someone from the community actually providing the services instead of outside support.
So make certain that they get paid on time. That's a problem that we have with the local providers, that we contract with them and then we don't pay on time, and they cannot provide the services to the
Well,
city.
kindly, Councilman Gonzalez, to your point, we haven't had a problem with them getting paid late. So thank you so very much.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Kelly.
Yes, how you doing, Director? It's good to see. I'm glad Kaboom Park is up here. We finally, right? The question though, do we have one last thing to do before the ribbon cutting to Kaboom? Is there something that has to be done?
The only thing, the last thing to do is get the ribbon and get the scissors.
Oh, that's good, because I was hearing something from the Fairmount. They were calling my office about something, so I'm glad.
Now,
Whatever that was, it's good.
in the spirit of transparency, they wanted us to provide some sort of entertainment. So we have a band. We also have some cheerleaders and stuff like that. That's
Yeah, that wasn't what they were calling about, so that's good. But I'm glad to see, Boylan Recreational Center on the top 9. It's up here now, right? And I see that we're talking about phase 4. Are we good with phase 1?
That's very interesting that you asked that. We was able to solidify that initial cost for the rendering for the facility.
Right.
So from that perspective, once that rendering goes to council, because it has to go to council as well, then we're able to go out and to start getting proposals for the total cost on the first project. Well, actually, it's 4 stages, and that first stage is a new facility that's on, that would be at the basketball court.
That's great. I just wanted to make sure we.
We didn't lose you. Yeah, we're with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Council.
Yep, just real quick. One, how much do you have in your recreation trust fund?
Did you put that up?
Not the open space, the recreation trust fund.
At the top of my head, our open space is 6 million, and our recreation trust fund is like 56, 57. I'll give you that accurate number, but that's right there on the ballpark, probably a couple of $100 short or a couple of $100 more.
Yeah, because that's important as it relates to your recreation trust fund for additional dollars that you can be able to utilize for programming. Because part of the problem is when you look at your salaries and wages, which is almost $1 million, it has exploded. Then you look at your other services, you only talked about 1.8 million dollars. That's throughout your entire line to provide other programmatic stuff. Doesn't matter if it's for the buses, the property rental, or whatever it is. And so, at some point, you probably want to look at how you begin to work to phase to bring that number up for other services, so that folks are not looking at, we're almost at 1 million in salaries, but the services and programs that go out is kind of low. And then how to maximize the dollars that you have in a recreation trust fund to be able to help offset some other programmatic stuff, I think is good. I mean, looking at the prices and costs of the fees is good. I mean, the $450 for ice time, I don't think is bad. But we just need to, being a proponent of recreation, we need to figure out how, you build up, these other services to get other, dollars to get out here and do what you need to do.
I totally agree. Once again, from the spirit of transparency, yes, that number accurately is went up to $801,000 for $256. Yeah, I totally concur with you in terms of personnel increasing, but also in addition to that, we looking at, hey, why more money? And why more money is because we also took on a new facility, which is now, as we know, is the Temple of Hip Hop, which included staffing. In addition to that, we're also looking at a new or a collaborate to provide us a senior service additional location at Borland Street Recreation Center, because our services has expanded with our senior services up by 250 additional seniors. So we was out looking at a new facility, which would also give us a cost just as much as Bethany Senior Services that we pay for that facility as well. And then in addition to that, events that's projected for the facility and the food cost that went up astronomically by 85%.
Yeah, what's the total number of that food cost? And those dollars need to be attributed into a separate line. It shouldn't be in the director's office representing 234,000, and then another half that you said was in senior services, because it really gives a skew that there are different items, especially both of them are different, right? One may say 71280 and one may say 7160, which are different kind of services. So we probably need to figure out what that looks like and what is the total number. Is the contract 700,000, 600,000, 500,000?
It's 600,000.
So it's 600,000.
Yes.
And so out of the 600,000, you said 234,000 came out of your account outside of providing lunch and stuff for the managers. 234 came out of that account.
Correct.
And then there's another 200 and something that was lodged in senior services account.
That's
Right?
correct.
So even in terms of budgeting, that just befuddles the world of what's
I
happening.
totally agree.
You have to, please.
Yeah, we're gonna line that up so where it makes sense.
And then even when we talk about the uptick of why you need it, the salaries and wages, that still speaks programmatically. So that's why I'm encouraging at 1.8, at some point, it needs to go up, right? If you're really studying and looking at the budget. And then there were some pages that were cut off, page 6, 7, 8. There were some missing pages and things that were cut off from other lines. They just had, the major lines about membership, registration, other professional services that was just cut off that you just want to probably try to rectify and get in there. I'm good.
All right.
Are you talking about our budget hearing book, or are you talking about the actual budget hearing book?
Your book. Yeah, your book.
You said on
the larger binder has those pages.
Yeah. You said 6, 7, and 8?
Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I look at 6, it just tells me the director's office, your little main things. 7, it just tells me recreation. 8, it just tells me cultural affairs.
Right.
But and then it stops on other stuff because there's other budgetary lines that are in there if you look at the larger book, right? So not just from the 7 lines, there's 6 lines.
Yeah, but the request was only for service lines, so we only put specifically what was requested. That's why you have
8. Some of the 8 lines are service lines too. Hardware and equipment, trophies, and all that other stuff. Equipment, those are service lines because we service with other vendors or utilize other vendors. I'm good. We're good.
Okay.
Councilman Gonzalez, you had a follow-up?
It's my last question. You indicated that let's say the dog park would cost $100,000, more or less.
More or less.
In terms of maintenance of that park, what would be the annual cost?
Well, we would have to lean on our sister department to actually get a cost because having this conversation with Councilman Silver, with discussing the parks and the cleanliness of the parks, we lean on our sister department to do such. So they would actually do a contract to see what that will look like, or they have enough manpower to keep that park clean.
Do we have any experience? The county has some dog parks. Have we consulted with them to determine how much it costs annually?
Well, we're in talks with several contractors that actually have dog parks that's around Essex County and other different cities that do dog parks. So we're in conversations with them that actually builds them. I understand when Council President McIver stated that we could use some of our parks and not to create a dog park, but expand some of those different little areas to create a dog park as well.
I'm talking about, say, the annual maintenance. Have you checked with some
No, no,
No, you haven't checked.
I have not.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing that, I was just gonna ask, do Newark People's Assembly fall out underneath your department?
No, Council President.
Because you have the employee listed on your list of employees. And then do you still currently have 2 assistant directors or 1?
We have two assistant directors, actually. Yeah, we still have 2 assistant directors. That's under our umbrella in
2
terms of our
positions?
budget.
2
Yes,
positions or 2 people?
2 people,
Okay. All right.
no vacancies.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, thank you so much to you and your team for being here this evening with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, distinguished council members.
Next department will be the Office of the Mayor and his agencies.
I don't see anyone here from the mayor's office. No,
We're a couple of minutes
not the
early.
Museum, trust me, I would call on you if it was you. Mr. BA? All right, let's go to the next one. Time is of the essence.
So we also have, is the museum here?
Yep, the more museums
All
here.
right, the
Yep.
museum.
All right, museum.
I realize I don't have no glass there.
All right, Ms. Director Harrison, it is so good to see you. It's great to see you. Do you have a opening statement for the council?
Yes. Thank you, and good evening, Madam Council President and the esteemed municipal court, municipal council members. I am Linda Harrison, the director and the CEO of the Newark Museum of Art. And
Director Harrison, can you speak directly into the mic? It's
Yes.
hard to hear.
Okay. Is that better? Joining me this afternoon is Shirley Thomas Ward, and she is the Deputy Director at the Newark Museum of Art. So on behalf of the staff trustees of the museum, we want to thank you and the City of Newark for your belief in our mission to welcome everyone with inclusive experiences that spark curiosity and foster real community. More now than ever, your investment enables us to deliver on our mission to be a museum of the community and a destination museum in the region through a consistent and intentional focus on the measurable impact we have on those who live, work, and visit Newark. As we continue to transform in alignment with a revitalized city, the museum has not wavered in its commitment to the community. We have recommitted to our founding vision of inclusion and community in both word and deed. One of the main goals of our strategic plan is to increase attendance and make the museum matter to a 21st century audience. This process is not just about the numbers, but about making the museum a place that truly resonates with the community. We have looked inward and evaluated the systematic issues that lead to how we have historically approached acquisition and presentation of our art collection and the programming surrounding it, aiming to serve our community better. And I'd like to have my colleague Shirley give you just a quick example of what that really looks like at the museum and in the community. Shirley?
Sure. Good evening, Madam President, esteemed council. One of the things that we do to relate to the community more, we do host 10 community days throughout the year, kicking off the year with our MLK Day, MLK Junior Day. And during that day, this is a day of resources to the community. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is being able to serve our community on various levels. This past year, we invited several community partners in to hand out free resources to our community, everything from free mental health workshops. We had the Water Coalition come in to talk about lead in the water and show residents how to clean their water. We also had free blood pressure and cholesterol testing. We do mammogram testing. And we not just focus on one area of the family, but we like to focus on the whole family, and that includes pets. We partnered with St. Hubert, and animal care was also given at the museum, where families were able to receive free vaccinations for their pets and free food for 2 weeks for cats and dogs. We had the expungement clinic partnering with ICC to come in. And these type of free services we offer throughout the year, kicking off with MLK Day, and then transitioning into the summer with our preschool night, which is another community day. We provide resources to prevent the summer slide in 3- and 4-year-olds. They receive free books. There's workshops for parents. There's Essex County College comes out and talk about free classes that parents can take so that they are also receiving educational experiences. And we carry this throughout the year with our community days and as well as with our Art After Darks. We try to have as many local presenters as possible, but we have listened to the community and we are providing these resources to them for free.
So in November of 23, we reopened the first phase of our campus transformational project, the Ballantyne House, and which is a National Historic Landmark from 1885 with a new interpretation highlighting untold stories of Newark's diverse communities, and that's the past and the present. So combining the freshly installed and reinstalled galleries and period rooms with new interventions, welcomes visitors with engaging experiences and expanded representation. The reimagined Ballantyne House is a significant change in our interpretive ethos, our strategy, and our educational programming, aligning with the museum's mission. And this framework aims to enhance the visitor experience and create an environment where people feel represented, create positive memories, and connect with the Newark community. We appreciate Mayor Baraka and the City Council reviewing this year's application for crucial funding and weighing the vital role of our resources and activities that play in enriching the lives of Newarkers. We eagerly await your decision and hope for your continued support in the 2024-25 fiscal year. We want to thank you again for your steadfast support in the past and reviewing our requests. And we request a renewed support of $4 million to ensure the museum can be an impactful and reliable and cultural partner of the city of Newark.
Got it. Thank you so much, Director Harrison, and thank you so much, Ms. Shirley, for that information as well. I just wanted to jump in real quick just to ask a few questions. So one, I'm happy you told us that that's your request for 2023 budget, the $4 million.
Yeah, or the 2024-25 fiscal year. Yes.
For the new project that you guys have for the $112 million transformative campus project, how much revenue have you brought in from that project this year to the museum?
We haven't brought in, we expect to bring in approximately 7 million by the end of this year. We haven't brought anything in yet. We still have waiting for I want to thank you for the tax abatement. We are now in the process of putting together and finalizing that deal.
But you expect to bring in 7 million by December?
Yes.
Okay. And moving forward, what's the expected revenue for the museum? I mean, let's just say for the next following year, what's the expected revenue to the museum from that project?
We won't have any revenue from the project during the next 18 months to 20 months that it takes to build it. Nothing will happening then. Once we've done two things. We have developed now a development philanthropic strategy so that we can actually secure donors to support the operations of the museums. And so that is our ability to have naming rights and underwriters to help with the operation of that project as well as the museum. So that will start, but we won't really garner any revenues from that for at least 18 months to 2 years.
Okay. Questions and comments from other council members? No? Councilman Gonzalez?
So the $7 million that you're going to receive is a one-shot deal. It's a, let's say you sold the land for 7.5 or whatever the price was, so you are not getting any other funds from that transaction.
We will be getting funds with regards to support for building out the glass contemporary art pavilions, the galleries. And then once it's done, then we will be receiving dollars for just ongoing from the project that is approximately 100,000. Then we will receive what we hope to be over the course of 5 years. We are looking at a campaign to receive approximately 100 million to support the efforts of the
Yeah,
museum.
but that's philanthropy. That's not related to the project itself.
Right, but it's philanthropy that's because of the project, we're able then to ask donors for their monies to support the museum. And I just wanted to add, our budget, operational budget, is approximately 17 million, but we have a capital budget that's much more than that. That's where you see the 112, that 112, 14 of the 14 million helped us in 23 to really restore the Ballantyne House. This year, we're restoring the South Wing, or what you know as the South Wing Educational Center. That's another 5 million to restore the South Wing, which will start in October. And then that balance is the building of the new construction that will ultimately, that full campus transformation, that's what's going to help us to raise more money over the next 5 years.
Thank you.
Councilman Quintana?
In terms of the fire museum, will that stay in place? The fire museum, because it was talked that it was going to be moved somewhere else. I think in my thinking, it should remain there. I mean, there's a lot of history to that museum of firefighters. And with all the things that have occurred, I mean, that museum is very crucial. I mean, the fire museum is very crucial to that museum. So I don't know, there was talk about moving it somewhere else. They were talking about moving it to the Mount Pleasant area, and I was saying, why? You know, this has been there. This museum has been there for as long as I remember as a young kid in the city. So it's important that I want to make sure that we do keep that museum in place.
I appreciate that comment, Councilman, because this is a perfect example where these physical buildings are falling apart, and it costs us money to actually repair and restore. And for us, we have to, it's a restoration. It's not just a rehab. So this is where it cost us, like the Ballantyne House. It cost $14 million. The Fire Museum, we've emptied it so that we can restore this museum. However, this is going to cost us a minimum of about $6 million to be able to do that. And that's why we need the infrastructure of the transformation of the project, Museum Park, that allows us to raise money then for someone to say, I'll fund the Fire Museum, I'll fund the Carriage House to the Ballantyne House, all of those little houses that we have on the campus, which is a 4.5-acre campus. It costs us the money to do it and then the money to maintain it.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much, Director. Thank you, Ms. Shirley, for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Newark Public Library.
Good evening,
Hello.
Madam Councilman.
Good evening. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have an opening statement to the council?
I do. Thank you. It is an honor to speak to you today as the director of the Newark Public Library. We are an organization that is, much like our city, in a time of growth. We offer a historic and deep collection of treasured artifacts and history, and we do it hand in hand with innovative programming and public services. NPL is the most significant public library in New Jersey and has historically been one of the most important in the Northeast. We are the poor person's university, the poet's furnace, and the titanium crowbar that anyone can reach for to lift themselves out of a morass and into greatness. We are all over the city. While we love to have huge events at our glorious main library in the heart of Tubman Square, we also have locations all over the city of Newark doing quietly important work every day. They're out there chugging along, supporting entrepreneurs, helping people, being a safe space for kids and elders, and offering our people wherever we can, to engage, improve, and delight them. If you're looking for something for kids, we got it. Want to help the unhoused? We're on it. Need to support job readiness? We got you. Small business support? Come on in. Do you want to help seniors? We're your spot. Our library campus is spread out and our spaces are lovely, but we still have visibly aging buildings. We have families of squirrels that move in during the winter and roof leaks that we plan for every time we hear thunder rumble. We fight like heck to keep our libraries open during heat waves, and we worry about the chill in the winter's cold. Despite good progress, the loss of Clinton Library remains a gap in that community, and Roseville has been closed for so long that it has faded to a forgotten specter of a space of public service for the neighborhood. Still, for all that, great progress is being made. We are renewing and refreshing our buildings. More than half of the public spaces at Main are being renovated in a series of projects that will be complete by the middle of next year. Our Springfield branch will be renovated in time for spring of next year, and we have plans to get a bookmobile on the road so we can bring library services everywhere in the community. We need your support to continue and expand on this growth. We need an increase of $2,556,000 $13,252 for a total budget appropriation of $13,469,000. The vast majority of this goes to our staffing. We average about 84% of our budget from the city going directly to staffing costs. The city is how we pay our people. We need more people, and we need to be competitive with how we pay them. I tell people all the time that 10,000 books neatly ordered on shelves by themselves is a big pile of books, but 100 with dedicated staff becomes a library. We do a lot. We want to do so much more. It's devastating when we have to close a library because of emergency staffing issues or because the heat or AC is out. On those days, nobody wins, no kids have a safe space, no elders have human contact. What's more, if they find the door locked and don't come back, we need to have the, what if they find the door locked and don't come back? We need to have the people to do more, and we need to be able to pay them to grow with us as an institution. We are offering an increase in services and hours with this request. If we're granted these additional funds, we will be able to expand our hours. This budget aspires to 6-day-a-week service across Newark with 2 late nights at all locations and Sunday service at Main. We can get the staff to get the mobile services up and running, and we could do more over more time. Libraries are a 24-hour service even when our doors are shut. Between our online offerings, our teaching programs, and the books and other resources we share, there is always someone benefiting from your library 24/7, 365 a year. Thank you for your consideration and your support, and I'm very happy to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director. Questions and comments from council members?
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Councilman Council.
I do know that when you talked about the Clinton branch of the library, we're also having problems on the Osborne branch, which may be experiencing some closure. And I'm, after hearing a lot of the movement and things that is happening with some of these budgets, I do want us to really, consider asking the BA to find some additional funds to at least help support the library and what it is that they're doing. They've been doing a yeoman's job at trying to hold stuff together on a needle and thread budget since probably 2010 or 18. And so if there is some attempt to help them, find some additional funding, I would think we need to ask the BA to explore that possibility. Now, I know we may not have, 5 million, right, or 6 million because we're lean, but if we make an attempt to at least be good partners in this thing, I think it would go a long way in providing library services and not trying to be the city that encourages reading and then don't support reading.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they didn't ask for 5 million, just 2.
Yeah.
So 2 and some change. Okay, Councilman Gonzalez?
Yeah, I echo the comments of my colleague. And I believe that we have an opportunity. We have vacancies in the budget. And I believe that vacancies that are funded, so I believe that if we were to eliminate those vacancies that are funded, we can find some money for the library. I believe that it's imperative that we do something for the library. We pride ourselves of being an educated city, and I believe that being an educated city, we have to provide the services for the people that want to continue educating themselves. And the library is a great source for us to educate ourselves. Mr. BA, I direct this to you. Whatever we can do to provide some funding. Maybe we cannot provide the $2.5 million, but we can provide some monies for the library so that they can continue functioning as they have.
Maybe 1.5? Councilman Quintana?
No, in terms of echoing what my colleagues, the library is very instrumental, to this community, to the city. I remember, as you said, you're going to get a mobile unit. I remember the summer programs, those mobile units would come and children would get their books. And you remember those days, right? And it was that kind of, and it was a lot of communication. Even with the Speedy program at the time, they would encourage you to take a book. there's a need. New York City, they were about to, a budget where they cut their budget of the library. The library is something that's very essential to this community. I mean, to see we have lost libraries. We had one on First Avenue that's gone. There was libraries back then. So again, we should be able, the salaries of the staff don't compare to other salaries of people who are so dedicated at this library, who worked every day, women and men, librarians who are there, the compassion, what they do in terms of, it's important. I said, we were at Branchbrook, I bought some books and said to you, but there's a way. And I think through the BA, the business administrator, through our lobbyists in DC, making sure, see where there can be some funding. Where can we get some funding? There's someone, we have all these corporations in our town, the big giants, the Prudentials, and et cetera. We need to reach out and see how we can help this library. They do. Whether it's 5 million, whether it's 2 million, something has to be done. Because again, the conditions of libraries, keeping up these books, keeping up the archives. Archives are very costly. If you know about archives, I know about archives because archives are very, for collectors, are it takes time. You have to have the right temperatures. You have to have, everything has to be correct. So again, the library is essential of this community, of this city, for the 5 wards of the city. That mobile unit will be very good. I'm so happy that you mentioned that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, okay, I know we have some other comments. I know folks are gonna say some of the same things, so let's just be mindful of the time, because we have a few more departments waiting for us. Councilman Kelly.
I was going to say some of the things that my colleagues already said, just to full out, I support you guys, especially, just seeing the Alexander branch in the West Ward, being there and witnessing the hole in the wall and the ceiling in the wintertime, cold. And, if it's not attractive, then the youth and the people who would like to visit the library are not going to come. So, and going there, actually going there myself to have a meeting and it's closed. And I call and they say, well, today we have to give them off. Yep. Our employees off. I think that, we've already discussed the matter. I think the VA gets the point. And, if we can find it, we definitely are in support for you to receive it.
Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
Thank you, Council President. Well, actually, I've had I wouldn't say fortunate, it was unfortunate for some of the employees of the library to actually, some of them one came crying about the conditions and about how they're trying to live with a little, trying to make a lot out of a little. So even though Council President said we've all stated the same thing, I just wanted to go on record that I support whatever we can do to increase the budget for the library employees that have families to feed just as we do. And I'm praying that we will be able to find funding, and at the same time, those who are around you will also be able to see whatever recommendations you can make to assist us in doing so. Thank you for your service, Director, and your team.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Crump.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. My family is a library family. We go to the library, whether we've gone to the ones in the north and the central and in the south. So it's important that we continue to make, and my family's not the only family. There are a lot of other families that use the library for important reasons, not just to read books, but for to feel safe, to feel secure, for so many additional reasons. And so at the last time we tried to go to the Osborne Terrace branch, it was closed. It was a whole family. We all got out the car, and unfortunately the gate was locked. And well, there's a sign, and we couldn't go in. So it's important that, and quickly, I agree with everyone else here who's saying we need to make sure that there's some more funding. And particularly after, I think this morning, something was said about even when we have, and I'm paraphrasing, even when I think budgets are tight, that we provide arts and education, et cetera, for folks, that this is an important part of our city, an important part for the people of our city, an important part for the residents, those who visit, those who come, those who need a location to be safe, to be secure, to read, and to just feel a part of the city.
Any other comments, Councilman Silva?
Yep, I met with the library on Van Buren last month.
Yes,
And I actually committed something to them, a donation, when I heard they hadn't bought a new book in years. At the end of the day, you have people there that love what they do. How they're making a living, it's got to be very difficult in this day and age, but they love what they do. They love the community, they love the city, and that's where their heart is. But again, I think other problems are going to continue to evolve. I believe I'm with my council colleagues in definitely looking to help you guys out. But your buildings, especially the Van Buren one, are very old.
yes.
And in the foreseeable future, I see problems that are probably going to come about in a building like that. It's a big part of our community. People go in there to learn how to read English, to learn the classes that you offer and everything like that. So it goes beyond just books at Van Buren and other libraries. So with your service you're providing, I don't think a lot of people know because they haven't been in library in years, including myself, right? With today's technology, but you provide a service that people really, really do appreciate. So I want to thank you and your staff for dedicating your days and your time to helping out the residents of the city.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Any other comments before we end from council members? I will end with saying, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you to your staff and everything that you all do. I think all of the council members enjoy the services that the library offers. And I know of me personally at the Springfield branch and the main branch, we do great programming there. We have, a great time, and it's always packed and filled with residents of this city. I would recommend, and I don't know if you were here last budget season. I think it might have been day 2 for you on the budget season. I think for me, in 7 years, I'm on the 3rd director for the library.
Yes, ma'am.
And I constantly say all the time that the library has to evolve.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys have work to do. It's, you can come here, I definitely support more funding. I definitely think we should do what we can in our budget, but we're thin too here. Like everything is thin, like monies are, and it's the same thing I explained when I met with the union. Literally, when I talk with you all the time, it's the same thing. And you guys have got to start to get creative. When we had the last director we hired here, your predecessor, we talked about philanthropy opportunities and what that looks like and how can the library do better in that. And I don't know if it's a mesh, and I hate to do this, but we're all one city and we all should be working together. But perhaps there's some way you can hook up with the museum and see what they're doing, because they do it well.
They do.
I'm be very honest. They do it well. And even the idea of how do you go into the 21st century of what libraries are doing around the country to collaborate, to get, funding for your buildings, all of those things need to be looked at, and there's some great examples already out there of what you can look at to, be able to look beyond the traditional library. It's time.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just, we can't stay here. Like, it's just not going to do it, because next year you're going to be back in the same situation. And while you're in 2 million now, and while there's been a big increase for over years, right, from previous administration that we're trying to catch up with, it's just not going to sustain like this. And so you got to start looking at, other ways. And we had these conversations with the previous director, especially when it came to Bergen Street branch that's been closed for some time, what we can do differently, how do we transition? So all of those things need to be just picked back up, and really have to start thinking outside of the box of how you create revenue for the library. So and how do you go out there and get more funding from the state and other entities to be able to sustain as well. So I just wanted to leave that with you all.
Thank you.
I know I've said it multiple times before, but definitely, it's really time to get to that point.
Yeah, we definitely hear what you're saying. We've actually brought on a deputy director of development, and we've been looking very aggressively at philanthropy, at grant writing. at really any resources we can. And I welcome those conversations, and I thank you for
Yes,
that
and walk
comment
right down
here.
the street to Linda and them. I mean,
Linda is a
they
big
racking it
inspiration to
in.
me. Linda is a big inspiration
Now, I'm
to me,
saying the
that's for
museum, I
sure.
mean, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be honest. You gotta give kudos with we love both of you. Like, I mean, we enjoy working with both of our partners in the museum and the library, and definitely in our new arts and culture district. But we're only successful if we're all thriving.
Yes, ma'am.
It can't be one
Absolutely.
space that is growing and booming, and then you look down the street and the library is like struggling. We can't have that. So definitely work with the entities within the district. That's why we created the district. That's why
Yes.
the mayor created the district,
Yeah,
to be able to work together and thrive together for the residents of this city. So definitely you got to reach down the street to all of those partners in that area and find a way to make it work for the library.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Thank you
right,
very
thank you
much.
so much for being here today. We appreciate you all.
Thank you all. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you very much.
Newark Municipal Court?
This ain't gonna be. Thank you.
Good evening. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Always good to see you, Judge. Do you have an opening statement for the council?
I do, Councilwoman. Very briefly, good evening, Council President and distinguished members of the Newark Municipal Council. With me this evening, I have the Court Director, Ms. Jessica Cavaco, to my immediate right, and I also have our Finance Director, Ms. Diane Riley, to my immediate left. We have submitted our proposed budget along with answers to the budget questions. I've also included copies of my opening statement, so I will not read it verbatim. For the most part, our budget tends to remain the same year to year, and any request for additional funding is centered around salaries. Which account for approximately 80% of our total budget requests. With that being the case, I'm relying upon our written submissions. Currently, we have 101 employees, 13 of which happen to be full-time judges. As an independent branch of government, we are entrusted with the responsibility of providing a forum for fair and just resolution of disputes. The court's primary goal over the next 3 years is to return to pre-pandemic backlog numbers. The biggest obstacle in that regard is trying to address the more than 250,000 parking tickets pending in our inventory. Having said that, in the interest of time, I will certainly welcome any comments, questions, or concerns you may have about day-to-day court operations.
Okay, thank you so much. Questions or comments from council members? Yes, Councilman Gonzalez, go right ahead.
Hi, Judge, how are you?
I'm good, Councilman Gonzalez. How are you?
I see that you have a lot of provisional employees.
I didn't hear you.
I see that you have a lot of provisional employees.
Yeah, about 48, I believe.
Of the 101?
Out of 101, 48.
So what are we doing to move those individuals to permanent positions?
Most of those provisional employees are recent change of titles. So they're not people who've been sitting in those positions for 4 or 5, 6 years, but the court director is actively interviewing prospective candidates to see if we could obviously fix those provisional titles.
I don't have any.
Other questions?
Don't be afraid of the judge.
You mentioned about the revenue. What's the total revenue you all have brought in this year thus far?
Thus far, $7.9 million gross. For the city budget, it is about $4.7 million as of June 30th.
So 7.9 million you all have collected in revenue, and you said you give 4 point back to the general budget?
Correct.
Okay, what was the number, 4 point what?
4.7.
The difference goes then to the state and the county, or?
Correct, Councilman Gonzalez.
Other questions? Questions, comments? Y'all know I'm not gonna say what I usually say, so I'm just going. What time is it? 6:21. I'm a spare, so I ain't even going, because folks know what I'm gonna say, so I ain't even going, just gonna hold it in, swallow it. Okay, Councilman Silva.
I'm sorry, Judge. I just have a quick question, Judge. Personally, myself, I reach out to code enforcement a lot to issue summonses and all that stuff, garbage and other things. Are those what's happening to those cases? Are they getting dismissed for like technicalities, a lot of them, or do we prosecute a lot of them and issue the summonses?
The cases where people show up to court, where the owner of the property shows up to court, I think the process works perfectly fine. They come in, they speak to the code enforcement liaison officer, they speak to the prosecutor, and those matters are dealt with on the merits. The issues we have, I don't want to say we, but the issue in the process is having people served with a copy of the complaint. Obviously, when those inspectors go out and they inspect properties, they issue violations. Those violations have to be properly served. And so the court has no ability to move on those complaints if they're not satisfied that service has been effectuated. So when those cases come to court 2, 3, 4 times, if no defendant appears on those complaints, then what the court does is put the prosecutor's office and code enforcement on notice. Look, we don't have perfect service here. If you want me to move on these complaints, then you have to provide proof of service. And it's put on what we call a dismissal list, a 45-day rule list. And if they don't perfect service within 45 days, the only real remedy on those cases is to dismiss them. So to answer your question, yes, there are a great number of cases that get dismissed off of technicalities for administrative reasons. Yes.
In your opinion, just in your overall opinion, how many cases, like say a month or after the 45 days, or would you have like a number?
Yeah, I don't have.
But there is
number.
a substantial amount. There is a substantial amount.
Certainly more than you would like. Yeah,
Okay.
no doubt about that. But as a court, I think our job is to deal with cases on the merits, right? And so if people don't show up and there's rules in place that require us to follow certain rules and procedures, in the event that those rules and procedures are not followed, then we do the next big thing, and that's put them on the list. Service isn't perfected, then we take whatever action we deem appropriate.
Thank you, Judge.
And in those instances, to be clear, you can always, if the violation still persists, you could always go out and re-inspect and reissue the violation if you're able to establish who the appropriate responsible party is.
So just one last question. So the person, the building doesn't come back to anybody, comes back to one of these LLCs and all that stuff. Is that where the problem exists?
It's a myriad of problems, changing titles, not having sufficient and identifiable title registered on the record. You have vacant properties, abandoned properties. You have insufficient contact information to get people in to address these matters. So it's not one particular thing. There's a number of things.
Yeah, can you issue a summons to an LLC, or it has to be an individual?
Now you can issue it to an LLC.
Okay.
Yes. We do that well, I don't want to say we, but code enforcement does it all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Councilman Gonzalez.
Do you have the full complement of the judges?
I do. We have 13 full-time judges. The only slot that's open right now is a part-time position. Okay. It's not really impacting our services.
In terms of service, let's say if there is lack of service, let's say the cases are dismissed, who is supposed to serve those individuals?
Well, the court's position is that the code enforcement, the issuing agent, is supposed to serve the notice of the complaint. The court does, in certain instances, depending on the age of the case, will send out regular and certified mail in certain types of cases. But the court is a neutral. Understand what our role is. We're neutral in the process, so we're not for prosecution or for defense. We provide the forum for these cases to be resolved on the merits, and it's no different than a police officer issuing a parking ticket or arresting somebody. They generally do that in real time. They provide the service of the complaint, and so oftentimes it's the code enforcement's responsibility to make sure that these complaints are being properly served. In the event that they don't do that, there are times when the court will take it upon itself to do that, but it's not primarily our role or their role. It's kind of a dual responsibility.
Thank you.
Other questions? Comments? All right.
Council President, I know what you're thinking. You
I'm
can
not gonna
certainly-
say anything.
We're here. We're here. Feel free.
I'm not gonna
Phil,
say anything,
I don't
Judge,
know if you're going to
today.
hear the responses that you want to hear, but
No, I mean, honestly, I appreciate your transparency here today before us. I know that we've constantly had a conversation, and it's taken me 7 years on the council to figure out where some of the items are broken, right? And I think while we're always saying like, oh, the courts, because that's the final stop, but at the end of the day, you just explain about some of the challenges with the process. It's obvious that the process is broken somewhere. There's some cracks and some leaks in it. Is it the court's fault? 100% no. It's obviously not, because we have some breakdowns of how we're processing these. But for the life of me, I'm sitting up here thinking, instead of me complaining and doing how I usually do, of all of the revenue we could use. All of it. I've been seeing it all week, just dangling in front of us. It's just like dangling on the Christmas lights. And we won't do what we need to do as a city and administration to fix the brokenness, to get funds due to us in the city. And this is not for you to say, I'm saying this because, as you said, I want the courts to stay neutral, right? I want people to say we have a biased court system here in the city of Newark. But it's like, out of so many years of the same brokenness of the process, not to you all, but to the administration, I'm talking to the BA, I'm looking at the BA, we just will not fix it. I mean, in a time where we could be grabbing revenue, just dangling there, paying for salaries, paying for raises, paying for, a more better role, whatever we pay to the general fund, right? That is what we should be doing. And we just won't do it. We will not do it to save our lives. And I just can't understand that. And that, once again, not saying that to you all, I'm just saying in general, because there are multiple departments that play into the execution of it, getting to you and actually, making sure that these people are held accountable. That's the point of it. It's more than just about getting money. Let me be clear before somebody goes and quotes me in some paper somewhere about me saying something. It's more than just the money part. It is holding people accountable for our residents here in the city. And we have to deal with so many complaints. I keep saying in the council's job, probably 80% of our time is spent on holding people accountable. Landlord problems, code violations, I promise you, our emails are flooded with it. We go to meetings, you can't get out from just complaints regarding landlords. So it's most of our time, and it's most of the city's time, and we're just not doing anything to fix the brokenness of the system. So I will rest there. But I appreciate you, Judge, for coming, because I think this is like the first time you come before us to say this, because we had like the prosecutor here before, and some other staffers here trying to debate back and forth for whose problem it was in front of this council not too long ago, but you weren't here. Your office wasn't here. So I appreciate you coming to say what are some of the breakdowns of, cases coming to you all, especially when it's, within the prosecutor and those are in violation and code enforcement. So definitely, I think that's good for the public to hear and definitely good for this council to hear.
Madam Chair, and
Council.
just real quickly, UCC as well. So we have to figure out what that disconnect is when someone comes in, they have a code violation, but they also had a stop work order. And so the court recognizes what the code violation is. And so the person says, oh, we handled that, we abated it, we're fine. But yet there is a disconnect and saying, well, wait a minute, you just had an illegal conversion and we need to deal with it. And that person walks out of court and we don't deal with it. I know that happened in many instances because I was around it, but that's why I thank you for that kind of openness, but we have to be able to figure this out.
Understood.
Yep.
And,
All right, Councilman.
and Judge, that's why I brought it up, because here we are trying to figure out how to raise more funds and how many tens of thousands and thousands of dollars we're losing because of the disconnect, like the council president says, between code enforcement, the courts, So I think it does, I've only been here 2 years, but I think this is something that needs to be addressed sooner than later.
And just to make a comparison
we have a similar issue with addressing parking tickets, right? There's no real tools or mechanism to really get people into court to address these tickets, right? You can't really issue bench warrants. Your motor vehicles, the state is not really suspending driver's licenses, right? So these tickets are just in our inventory. We have no real teeth to get them into court to address these matters. So they're just sitting, they're just sitting, they're just sitting. And so what happens is they rotate, and then eventually they end up on a report because now they're 2 years old, they're 3 years old, there's no activity. That's not a court's problem. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes if you take the tools away from us to address certain cases, the end result of that is eventually they're going to end up getting dismissed. Now, you issue so many parking tickets that you don't really notice that because there's nobody complaining about it because they keep issuing and issuing and issuing, so the inventory keeps rising. But the reason you hear about code enforcement is because they're real victims to that.
Yeah.
And people complain to you. But we have the same problem dealing with and addressing parking tickets. It's hard to get people into court to either address them or hard to get people to pay them.
Yeah. I was gonna ask one thing. You guys are still 100% Zoom, right, for court?
We're more 95, 96% virtual.
Okay.
4 or 5% in person. The model, the statewide model should be 80% virtual, 20% in person. We're more virtual than in person.
And that's most municipalities who are still virtual?
It's a statewide directive.
Oh,
Some
okay.
towns may only have 1 or 2 sessions a month, so they have a little more freedom to do what they want. So they may have more in-person activity, but obviously we're the largest court in the state. We have 16 sessions a day. Most of what we do is Zoom. So the only people we really bring into court are people who are having trials or facing DWI cases and things of that nature.
Got it, got it. All right, Councilman Gonzalez, you have one last more question?
Well, a follow-up on that, they say, I have a ticket, I am on Zoom, how do I pay the fine?
Well,
I sell the money to you, or?
No.
You get to come in.
You go
can pay
online and you pay it
online,
at njcourts.com, or you come into the courthouse Monday through Friday and pay it at the window.
They've been paying the
So
tickets
do we
online.
have, let's say, any kind of delinquency on those payments? Let's say I was speeding, I get, let's say the ticket, I get fined $50. Now let's say penalize me with the $50. I don't pay the $50. What happens?
Well, during COVID, they suspended our ability to issue bench warrants for people who fail to pay. And so that money just sits in the pipeline until people are ready to pay it or they decide to pay it. We don't really have a collection agency anymore.
Don't say that too loud that the reporter is here, so.
You asked the question, so I'm just trying to give an honest answer. But yeah, so that money just sits in the pipeline until, depending on the amount. If it's a substantial amount, obviously, you have the ability to maybe issue a bench warrant, but nominal amounts, it just sits there until somebody's ready to take care of it.
And it keeps increasing, like it goes up like $10, $20 each time. So you just keep having a bill that's growing. You obviously haven't gotten a parking ticket in a long time.
Oh, wait, but let's say, do you have the ability of charging interest or penalties on that amount?
Now, there's like a miscellaneous fee of like $10. I think that automatically is assessed. The computer does it. It's nothing that we
Yeah,
have to
it's
do
automatic.
individually.
But pay your tickets, folks, because at some point, if they say you start back issuing bench warrants, you don't want to get in a situation. For those who are tuned in, we're not saying that you can just get away from, not paying your parking tickets or your moving violations. Please pay. I don't want anybody to write that and say, Newark is not keeping up with the tickets and it's just going unclaimed. Monies are going unclaimed. But anyway, thank you so much for coming out today. Have a great evening. We appreciate you all.
And thank you all. Have a good evening.
Affirmative action?
I don't even think I have one for affirmative action.
Is it NorWorks? Yeah.
You guys have one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that was that?
All right, come on up, Mr. Baptista.
Good evening,
It's very
Madam
thin.
President.
Hey, Mr. Baptista, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
Do you have an opening statement for the council?
No, they told me to make it short.
All right, well, you're first not to have an opening statement. All right, any questions for affirmative action? No? Oh, yes, Councilman Silva?
Yeah, Mr. Batiste, how you doing?
How you doing, Councilman?
Good to see you. So you have no vacancies, correct? I was reading you have no vacancies. Do you have all the personnel that you need? Because I know in our first meeting that we had, I believe last year, and I got to meet you on the Affirmative Action Committee, there were some issues. Has all that been straightened out with your team there?
Councilman, we still have the same number of employees. We have 6. And at one point, we used to have 10. And we have 6, the total, including me. And right now, we have a lot of constructions going on right now. And we are doing the best we can to make sure that we do site visit with what we have. But the last time we spoke,
And that's why I'm asking, because all the development that's going on here, do you have enough personnel to effectively go out to all these job sites that are going on a consistent basis?
No. As a matter of fact, I have requested 2 more employees. So far, no, I don't have. I'm still waiting for your response.
Okay, I think it's imperative that we get you the help that you need to be able to, do your job.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Okay. So the answer is no, Mr. Baptista. You do not have enough staff. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree.
So Councilman Silva and I have met with you, sir. And have we yet dealt with the position of administrative assistant or someone to assist you with the files? Is that still vacant as well?
Still vacant, yes.
All right. So Councilman Silva's just stated that we have to do an update with the meeting because we've had this meeting when we first came into office.
We did, yes.
And we had another meeting after you came into office. We met with the administration, and I can't see why we haven't moved further because there is a lot of development going on. And while people are saying that we're not losing out on being able to keep up with people who are not in compliance and doing what they need to do, it's just almost with 5 people and they all have different assignments. I don't see how it's humanly possible. And we're trying to find funding, and Council talks about it all the time. There's money just dangling out there, and some of that money we need for our budget. And
Absolutely.
So, we'll be calling up for another meeting, and please be available.
Yes, and I do not have an open statement, but what I can say, we have about 87 projects in our office. Not all of them active, but we still have to go to the job site to make sure if they start or not. And last year, we collected we collected $465,000 fines, contribution. The money goes to NorWorks. This year, we have already collected $365,000 from developers, general contractors, who did not do what they're supposed to do, and that's the only way. The only thing we can do is to sit down and negotiate fines, or we call it sometimes contribution. This year, then so far we are $365,000, and the money goes to NorWorks.
There's so many people who could help in this department.
Yes.
Mr. BA, there's so many bodies that can help in this department. I know you agree. I know we could pull 2 people from somewhere throughout this city to be able to help. I mean, I can help you pick somebody out. Because there's got to be some staff that could go to affirmative action
Yes.
and help out with the monitoring of these projects. And I only say it because we bring it up a lot. I know that with all seriousness, right, that Councilwoman Scott Roundtree and Councilman Silva definitely brings it up from the Affirmative Action Committee. But when we're in Tax Abatement Committee as well, with Councilman Gonzalez and Councilman Council, we constantly talk about this, about the issue of keeping up with these projects, making sure we're doing full monitoring, just making sure we're not letting anything slip through the cracks. And so as more development comes online, we have got to have some staffing to be able to assist. I think that we have done a really good job in finding developers and doing some of that work that we've done around of affirmative action, specifically around the tax abatement committee, but also making sure on this council that we make sure that they're paying their full share into the coffers that help some of the programs within affirmative action as well as pouring into NorWorks. But they definitely need some more bodies there. And we talked about this last year too, during budget season. So it's something we should definitely look into. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree?
Is someone still being paid out of another budget that should be working in affirmative action?
Yes, we have
So that
someone.
we have to fix, because that person needs to be paid out of the budget of the department they're working in, so that we can put what you need in that department. Because for years, the person that was doing what we need done retired, which means you and everybody else have to do what this one person did that someone else is now getting paid for in another department.
Yes,
We're
and
going to revisit that.
yes.
All right. Any other questions?
Thank you,
before we
Council
move on? I know
President.
we're 42 minutes after the hour. 42. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Baptista before we move on? I think we have two more departments. Yes, two more. That's why I was trying to tell y'all. I don't be listening. I be giving y'all the eyebrow and everything like, come on, we got another department. See, and then he gets up and leaves me after saying that. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Baptista.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baptista.
Madam President.
All right, Madam Clerk.
NorWorks?
NorWorks. And then who do we have after NorWorks? Okay, Clerk's office. That's important. Oh, man. All right, hello. Young, vibrant team. Look at them.
Good evening, Council President and council members.
Hello, welcome. Thank you so much. Do you all have a comment for the council, or opening statement?
Yes, so I would just start off by saying my name is Tariq Rolla. I am the Director of Operations for Workforce of our Employment and Vocational Training Services. Our mere goal is to ensure that the mayor's and administration's mission and vision is moving forward, right, which is providing Norkers with equal and equitable opportunities to employment, educational access, as well as vocational training opportunities that can help them skill up and become the best version of themselves. We don't only want to tell, right, each other locally that Norkers are moving forward and leading the way. We really want to show us locally and globally. And Jason will talk to you about where we are, where we want to be, and how we get there. And I have Kiana Dunn-Storns here for our Summer Youth Employment Program.
All right, thank you so much. Questions and comments from council members? Does the municipal ID program fall underneath you all?
We support some of their operations as part of our MOET budget.
Okay.
The total grant-funded programs that you guys operate.
Currently, we, in program year 24, which started July 1st, 2024, we were awarded $6.6 million in total from our WIOA and WF&J programs.
And that still focuses on, I know we talked about the re-engagement center, but other individuals that may be looking for employment opportunities, reentry component as well. All of that is reconnected at 375 now?
Yes.
So we totally don't have any other services at 900 Broad. We're all flush 375 McCarter Highway.
Because we're a one-stop and our state partners are located at 990 Broad Street, we still we don't do programming there, but we still do occupy a small space there, and we still do have access to the facility to service residents.
but we don't do any referral-based information. So if there's individuals who are coming to look for employment, if they go to 990, will they be serviced there, or will they be directed to 375 McCarter?
We've partnered with Essex County. We have a wave transportation vehicle. So there's a direct transportation from 990 to 375, and our office service residents at 375 McCarter.
Gotcha.
I'm good. I'm good.
Just wanted to go back to clarify. So you guys get 6.6 million in grant funds,
Yes.
and your total budget is what?
So we get 6.6 million in grant funds and 2.5 from our municipality, from the administration. So total of 9.1.
All right. Yeah, I like that. I like when folks come up here with grant money. The BA know I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are also, though, as Director Roland will soon discuss, we have a lot of new initiatives that we are putting on. You know, this year we did our very first Raise Your Voice, Mayor's Leadership Academy, Re-Engagement Center, the Reentry Council. So as part of our acts, we know we're working with the administration and these civics to find additional funding to continue to support these initiatives. But we are seeking some increase to help fund the new initiatives we're launching.
Got it. Any other questions or comments from council members? I do want to say that this department specifically they're doing amazing work. I want to thank you and your team, and even folks that are not here of the entire NorWorks staffing, because there are great things happening. I think it goes back to, we were talking with the Department of Health and Wellness earlier about the great things that they do and how the communications department should help elevate that. I think sometimes there are great programs happening, but we might get the flyer like that week, or residents will tell us they don't know about it. And I'm not blaming you all for that, because you can't be and do everything. And so that's why the different departments that are within here in the city, like communications, should be helping you all elevate what you're doing, and telling a story about what you're doing, and how you can be able to get that out there to residents, because there's some great things happening. But sometimes people's number one responses are, we didn't know about it. Like, how do we find out about it? What do we do? So definitely to try to work through the BA. I'm seeing this to the BA through his chair, to make sure that communications are supporting these departments and the work that they do. If not, no one is telling the story, we don't know about it, and then folks come to us here, you all see, and they say nothing's happening. And we should be doing a better job at telling the story of the work that we do.
Yes, and we do plan to leverage some of our WIOA dollars to get some folks who are into that field. That's what the mayor was talking to us about, realizing that social media is the new platform. So we're going to leverage some of those resources to ensure that we have folks to help us put out the information with the communications.
Got it. Councilman Silva, you want to end us off?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate them on the 375 McCarter Highway facility. It is the East Ward, and every time I've been there, the classrooms are full. So I just want to tell you guys that you're doing a great job. The couple of times that I've been there, I see the look in the people's face, and there is hope. So I just want to congratulate you guys on the job that you're doing.
Hey, thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Have a good evening. All right, Madam Clerk, you're up.
So thank you, Council President, council members. I will be brief. I sent a summary this morning because I learned yesterday how late the day goes. But the Office of the City Clerk does two important main functions: open public meetings and open public records. Those are the two ginormous work functions that we do. It is our hope to continue to be transparent with the population that we serve. In addition, the only request that I have for the budget is to continue to grow over time, because we use that monies to support the council events and activities, to staff, to make sure that the council has everything that they need. Other than that, everything else remains flat.
All right, questions for our clerk?
Yeah, because of just one question about the Open Public Record Act, Oprah, because of the state's mandate, have we changed up on that as well? Is there a new system that's going to be implemented?
Thank you. So last year, we asked for money to purchase our GovQA platform, and that has proven to been invaluable to help us now that the laws are changing, we will have more strength in the things that we release and the things that we offer. We plan to grow that platform so that everything we release will be online, so that we don't have to have multiple requests for the same type of documents. So that program that the council approved last year, I really appreciate it because it's helped us a lot.
Councilman Crump?
Yeah, just one question regarding Legistar. It seems to have doubled, in fact, a little more from 2023. Is it the reason why, and are there more users on it now? And if so, who are?
More users, more license. We are going to think of creative ways to level that out. I'm still getting my hands wrapped around the whole Legistar process.
So just a follow up to that. Every time a new person is trained and gets a, what's it called, authorization, I think it's called.
Yes.
That's an additional fee to the clerk's office.
It's an additional usage of the platform.
Okay. Thank you.
And we also need to scrub the system.
We definitely need to scrub the system, and we need to remove people. But I
Yeah,
don't
we
want
need
to
to
keep.
remove the people. I'll say it. We need to remove the people who don't approve stuff, who don't use the system either. So we need to definitely do that. We're wasting money. We're wasting our licensing fees for mostly city employees who don't do anything with the system or don't use it. You know, they get requests. I mean, even it might be some staff of our staff too that might have access. We've asked for access and they're not frequently using it. They shouldn't have it because that's a cost to the city. So that's something that we need to look at too, to really determine of our staff who really needs it, and that's citywide. You know, especially some folks who are just sitting on Legistar and not doing anything with it.
Yes.
Other questions for our clerk? I just want to say you've been doing a great job, Madam Clerk. We've been delighted to have you. I will say some of the great initiatives that we've done this year, it was in the works for like 25 years. I'm serious. Lots of things. We fixed some items, you know, we fixed some asbestos, people's furniture stopped falling on their laps. And I know people don't want to hear that, but the conditions that people work in, that's very important. Like, you know, people should be working in decent conditions and not subject, you know, to dangers, you know, in their work environment. So I want to commend you and your entire team, you know, for all of the work that you do for the city, for us, for the administration, and for the residents. So thank you so much. And I know that, you know, we have some progress to make, but I believe you and your team have been excellent and always available, always responsive, and we're extremely thankful for that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for our second night of budget hearings. We will, of course, announce soon when the budget hearing will be, but we'll also need to be talking about follow-ups to some of the conversations that we had here with the administration, with our business administrator, and we also have some follow-up items that need to come back to us for review.
Of course, Council President, council members, the anticipated public hearing on the budget is September 5th.
All right, September 5th. All right, that is the proposed date as of today. All right, thank you all for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again. Have a great evening.
Yeah.